Call this August 19th Board of Supervisors meeting to order, and we'll begin our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'm going to, agenda item number 3 is roll call. As you'll notice, Chairman Ross is not here. I'm the vice chair. I'll be standing in for Matt. Supervisor Reese?
Here.
Supervisor Grenier?
Here.
Supervisor Coyle?
Present.
All right, let the record reflect that 4 of the 5 members in attendance, constituting a quorum. Before I begin the community announcements, I'd like to observe a moment of silence for Mark Peterson, who is our golf course superintendent at Makefield Highlands. He passed away last week. We're very saddened that he passed. He joined the Makefield Highlands team in 2010, and for more than 16 years dedicated himself to the care and stewardship of the golf course. He's a member of, or was a member of, the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America. He brought decades of experience, professionalism, and pride to his work. He was instrumental in helping Lower Makefield Township achieve and maintain Makefield Highlands Audubon certification, and was always committed to leaving the golf course better than he found it. More importantly, Mark was a leader, a friend, and a mentor to so many members of the Spirit Golf and Spirit Golf family over the years. His knowledge, steady presence, and willingness to help others made an impact that extended well beyond the golf course. He will be greatly missed by all of us here at Spirit Golf, Makefield Highlands, and throughout the Lower Makefield Township community. Our thoughts and deepest condolences are with his family, friends, and all those who had the privilege of knowing and working aside Mark. So with that, I'd like to have a moment of silence. All right, moving on to agenda item 4, which is community announcements. As always, this portion of the agenda, residents and youth organizations may call in to make a special announcement or contact the township to request a special announcement to be added to the agenda. You know, you can make the most of the remaining summer season. I know some people are saying, hey, the leaves are starting to turn, that the fall might be around the corner. You can still get tickets and become a member of the pool and join and stay and relax for the last couple of weeks. August-only memberships are available. They can be purchased at a reduced rate, conveniently online at lmt.org or in person at the Township's Community Center. Lower Makefield Township, home of the Pennsylvania State Monument Garden of Reflection 9/11 Memorial in Bucks County, will host 2 Remembrance Ceremonies on September 11th, 2026. This event will commemorate the 25th remembrance of the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. All are welcome to attend. The morning ceremony will begin at 8:30 and will follow the timelines of the attack with the tolling of the bells at each significant event. An evening ceremony will begin at 6 p.m. followed by candle lighting. I know many folks have contributed to the township and the Lower Makefield Community Fund to help sponsor and subsidize the cost of the events. I speak for, I think, everyone in the township, staff, electeds, everyone, to say we deeply, deeply appreciate that. And if you're still interested in supporting this event, you can contact the township and, again, make a check out to Lower Makefield Township Community Foundation or LMT Community Foundation, and they will get you a tax receipt for the deductibility of that. The Pennsylvania Historic Preservation Board will review the nomination of the Thomas Janney Historical Agricultural District to be listed in the National Register of Historic Places at their meeting on September 15th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. Following a brief presentation by staff, the public will be given an opportunity to comment on the nomination. Interested parties can participate in the meeting via Teams, so you don't have to show in person unless you don't want to. Who doesn't enjoy a good Teams meeting about historical preservation? Or you can submit written comments to be addressed to Andrea McDonald, the Director of the Pennsylvania State Historic Preservation Office. If interested in attending or submitting written contacts, please contact the township at admin@lmt.org for additional information. The Lower Makefield Seniors will be hosting a free lunch and learn seminar with speaker Scott Mitchell titled Leaving a Blessing, Not a Burden on Thursday, September 17th, 2026 from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Community Center. That's 1550 Oxford Valley Road, right around the corner. For more information to register, you can email lowermakefieldSRS@gmail.com. All registrations must be received by September 13th, 2026. The Kim Rock Group will be hosting a free community shredder event on Saturday, September 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the pool parking lot at 1050 Edgewood Road. For more information, visit our township calendar at lmt.org, or you can pre-register at www.shredbucks.com. Item G, the Environmental Advisory Council is hosting their 25th Styrofoam Collection event on Saturday, October 31st, 2026 from 10 a.m. to noon at the Township Building. Along with your clean white Styrofoam, you can bring natural corks, cleaned pill bottles with tops, and batteries. If you have any questions, you can check out on our calendar on our website or reach out to the Township at admin@lmt.org. Now you're saying, wait, that's Halloween. What better way to prepare for Halloween than clear out your house of all those old batteries? Many of you have large batteries that you're sitting on that you need to get recycled and get out of your house. You have Styrofoam. I know you do. I do. Let's get it all cleaned up. Final item, Lower Makefield Township, along with Yardley Borough, will be hosting an e-waste recycling event offering Township and Borough residents the opportunity to responsibly recycle obsolete electronics. Now, for you, those who still have flip phones, and you know who you are, this is your chance to responsibly recycle them. Printers as well. This event will take place in the pool parking lot, 1050 Edgewood Road, Yardley, PA, on Saturday, November 21st. So we're giving a lot of time. Now, many of you know that major tech companies are coming out with new products in September. They do. You're going to plan to buy those. What are you going to do with the old ones if you can't trade them in? You're going to bring them to the recycling event on Saturday, November 21st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you can read more on the calendar at lmt.org. Now, we're moving on to agenda item 5. And this is public comments on non-agenda items. So if you see the item that you would like to speak about on the agenda, this is not your time to speak. You want to wait for us to talk about that item in specific. But if you have a concern on something that's not on the agenda, it's your time to walk and stand in line at the dais. We recognize people for an initial 3 minutes. Again, if circumstances warrant, we can extend that time. The goal is we want to make sure that we're here to listen and address where possible any questions. If multiple people are speaking on the same issue, I often recommend that you say, hey, I agree with what that person said. I find as somebody who listens and wants to listen that it makes it easier for me just to say, okay, more folks agree rather than rehash the same items again. So 3 minutes is usually a good call. At this time, I'll ask if there's anybody on the phone. This is my chance to, if I were a frustrated talk radio host. Do we have any callers? Nobody on the line? Oh my gosh. So if you're here for public comment, you're free to stand up, and it doesn't appear anybody is coming on. So then we're going to move on to, okay.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Myers. I'm a resident at Heritage Oak. I have been there since 1987. Okay. Bought my house there. My wife and I moved down from Long Island. Not a cheap area up there. Not a cheap area down here in 1987. Probably paid $200,000 roughly for that house. Right now, its value is around 4 times that. Okay, and I owe that to the fact that the distinguished group of supervisors all through those years have done so many nice things in this community to make that price go up. Okay, and I thank you for that. Also, I'm in earshot of the fire station over on Heacock and Stony Hill. I know they're running out to do important work to save lives, to save property, and it concerns me when I know that there was a study that was done last year and turned over to the supervisors in January. I don't know the contents fully of that report, but I do know that I was able to go to the LMT website, all right, and I pulled down from the fire department information there numerous reports of, or statistics, not reports, but statistics, all right, talking about the aging out of the fire department, talking about the number of additional calls that we make, that they have to make with, like, Pritchard Orchard going, condos going in, with the new developments going up the other side of Shady Brook. And it just puts a more of a strain on them. I saw about the aging out. I mean, I could qualify for a firefighter if it was by age, okay? Because I'm old enough. But it's at 76, I'm old enough to be a fireman, right? Because that's about the average age. But all of this brings me to say that, you know, that independent study, I don't know if you've had any opportunity to take action on it after it was presented in January. And I would just ask you to look at it and see if you can do anything more with that, with those recommendations. It's important to not only myself, but to every resident of LMT. Okay?
Yep, thank you very much. If you'd like, if you want to leave your email, we can get you a full copy of the study, or we can post it online. If that would be helpful for you, we want people to know what's happening in that process. And I can speak hopefully for the board that we recently reached out to the county for additional support on that, and there are ongoing discussions on it, but we definitely hear you and want to work through and want to make sure you know everything that's going on in the process.
Okay. I mean, I know action speaks louder than words, too.
Yep.
And I've been around here a long time, so I've seen the actions that this board has taken and on other issues and stuff, and I would expect nothing less on this issue. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Just to add a touch of specificity to the chair's response, we did recently have a meeting between the Volunteer Fire Company, Yardley Borough, and Lower Makefield Township electeds to set a path forward to make progress in working toward the goals of that report. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Good to see you again.
Good evening. It's been a long time. I'm here specifically to, my voice is...
Dr. Hines, name and whether you're a resident or not, even though I know you are.
Dr. Helen Hines, 1355 Edgewood Road, Yardley, PA. I'm here because I did try to contact all of you in June on the 23rd, and I've been informed by Dan that my email somehow goes into a suspicious-looking folder, and you probably didn't get it. But I have a project that's near and dear to my heart for America 250, and I know you have said you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on American 250, but I think it would behoove all of us to consider that kind of theme of our township is coming up in late November and early December of this year, when we're 250 years past the event of Washington coming through our township, camping in our township. We have relics that we have found that prove that the Army did pass through here, and a letter that is written from a camp, a militia camp of Lower Makefield Township Company, headed up by Peter Van Sant, that is camping on Joshua Anderson's and Thomas Yardley's farm. Joshua Anderson and Thomas Yardley's farm is Makefield Park today. And I ask that you consider that we invite scouting units, boy and girl scouting units, Girl Scout units if possible, to camp for the weekend of November 13th through the 15th at Makefield Park. This is a one-and-done thing. It will never happen again. But again, it happened only once before, 250 years ago. So I think it would be really outstanding for our youth that is the age, or slightly younger. I mean, the average Revolutionary War soldier was between 17 and 19, and these kids are between 14 and 17. To have them experience what it would have been like to camp out. And that means, I don't know, rain, snow, sleet, whatever happens in November. But here's one of our district, your district chairman for Playwicki District from the Boy Scouts in Hill. Explain.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm not a resident.
And your name?
Greg House. I am the district executive of Lower Bucks County. This is a fantastic opportunity for our local scouts, and we're talking ones around Yardley, to participate in an historical event locally. I have units that are going out to like Gettysburg.
So if you could get closer to the microphone so that
Okay,
folks
excuse me,
can hear.
So I was saying that a lot of the units in our area have to go out to Gettysburg to experience the historical events, but here we have one in our backyard. And there's 350 scouts just in this local area. In my district, Lower Bucks is about 1,100. There is a lot of excitement about the opportunity to be able to camp locally at a significant event. And we'd appreciate the opportunity if that could be approved.
So, Dr. Hines, after we spoke, I did make sure to find your email after we, as I told you, and everyone on the board has it now, so I made sure to distribute. I think, excuse me, I'm finding a little cold here. I think it's a really neat idea. It's more about in my mind, it's more about logistics and making sure we have our staff and our police, fire, rescue folks, making sure everyone's safe, make sure that's all squared away from a logistics perspective. But if we can work that out, I think it's a really neat idea to do it.
Yep.
I can set up my tent with you. I'll be right there.
I knew security would be an issue, and I've been working with Chief Kelly over securing that, and I think we plan to invite actually the post that is being honored tonight to actually head up that security detail and provide sentry duty, marching back and forth as the children are sleeping, to keep people cognizant of possible, attack from the British. Thank you so much.
So we're going to thank our police explorers for the dedication by making them stay up all night and
Absolutely.
march in late November.
Absolutely. So if you could possibly direct the township manager to help me get together a budget of what we could put together from the scouts as well as the township, that would be great.
I have to say that my son's first camping was cold and wet. I think your husband
Probably with my troop. Yeah.
Yes, it was. But I have a soft spot. I was a Girl Scout. I always felt that the chance I had as a young woman in my time to actually have leadership was in the Scouts. And I saw my own children. I was a den mother once upon, I think your son was in, yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was. And I would like us to be able to, I think it's really worthwhile. And like you said, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Thank you for coming tonight. I think we're certainly going to be supportive, Dr. Hines.
Sorry, Colin, that didn't get through.
No?
I was going to say before, do we want to direct the township manager to work through the logistics of this? I don't think we need a formal motion unless we're saying, although I'm sure we will. Okay, yeah, if there's a potential expenditure of money.
I move that we direct the township manager to work to determine a budget for the Board of Supervisors to consider approval in support of the historic camping event, which may or may not include our police explorers staying up all night in the cold.
And I will happily second that.
Before I call the question on that, the only concern I have is what events that may be planned for Macclesfield on that day, and can we make sure that there's no conflict?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that, yep.
Okay.
And the only thing I would add is, since this is obviously an historical event, a reenactment almost, is if, obviously Dr. Hines is on the Historical Commission, this does seem like something that we could direct the Historical Commission to head up and assist us with, much like they do with other.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. With that, I'll call a question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the ayes have it, and the motion was approved 4-0. I'm not seeing anybody in front of the microphone, but somebody curious.
I'm in front now.
Okay.
Yeah, Lizanne Wilkinson, LMT resident. And although I'm here to support my pickleball pals as well, I just wanted to, so I'm an avid swimmer at LMT. I've been since we moved here in 2015. And during my swim yesterday, someone leaned over and said, "Are you going to the meeting? You better enjoy this swim. This might be your last." And I just was like, what? So long story short, is there talk of any kind of like closing the pool of some sort? No. So for the
No.
record, no.
No.
Was there any discussion at a previous meeting about anything?
No, we've had discussions about some capital improvements we need to make. So as many people know, this year we weren't unable to fix one of the heaters. It was a trade-off we made to see if we can go a little longer. We've made investments in other areas. We are cognizant, I think all of us know, that there are issues with the bathrooms, for example, that desperately need to be redone. So I know there are many folks that are interested in pool related policy matters. I would urge them to be, if they want to express their opinions during the budget cycle, as we look at those items and make trade-offs between certain items. And so I would encourage people to participate during those meetings as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, thank you.
Yep. I'm going to close public comment at this time.
Yeah, on the mention of pickleball, I believe Supervisor Reese had a motion that she wanted to make related to item 14A on the agenda.
Thank you. I'd like to move that we consider authorizing the expenditure of 13.
Sorry, Judy, you were going to
Oh, B. I'm sorry, I'm not.
recommend that we move that item to the consent agenda,
And-
correct?
Yes, exactly. I just wanted to read it, but yes, we would like to move this item to the consent agenda for, I believe, the next executive
No,
meeting?
for this
meeting?
This current meeting, yeah.
That works for me. I consider it 14, it's A,
Yep, would be part of the consent agenda.
part of our consent agenda.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any concerns about including that in the consent agenda?
John, just so you
Oh,
know, the light is on.
the light is on, so you need to have the button on when you're speaking. So for those. We do have a second public comment at the end of the meeting, but, I mean, yeah, can I finish this agenda item and then address that in a second? So, okay, great. So first, is there any concern with moving agenda item 14A to the consent agenda item? What that means for those in the audience is that would be included en masse with all of those other items. So it'd be up or down vote. Those who follow meetings carefully, I know many people here, I see you guys all the time, some of the same folks. That means it gets approved instantaneously without debate. Is there any concerns from board members? Any public concern by including the consent agenda? Not hearing any, we'll move that to the consent agenda, which will be covered at that time. And now for the person on the phone, because I'm a frustrated talk radio host. Caller, state your name and whether you're a resident of Lower Makefield Township. Did we lose our caller?
I'm here.
Okay. Please state your name, whether you're a resident of Lower Makefield Township.
Michelle Weinberg, resident of Lower Makefield Township. I'd just like to know when discussion will be further on the LMT Pool regarding deficit, if it will be next year continuation of the pool, or what the status will be.
Sure. If I could extend my remarks previously that I said that when we were asked about that, the pool is planned to continue to operate in its current manner. We will have a series of budget meetings in this fall and early winter timeframe to talk about what our budget will be for next year. And I urge people who have a concern about any infrastructure issue, any issue, public safety issue, to talk about their preferences during the budget hearings and during public comment on future meetings. So I know we'll be talking about when we're scheduling our budget meetings later. Those will all be publicly posted. They'll be advertised for people to come in. As you can tell, all of our meetings are televised via local cable channel. They're also live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, but we're not on the TikTok. We're not on the TikTok. But you're welcome to participate in any of those at any time. Is there any other comment before we move on?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thanks for your call.
Sounds like there's a
Alrighty.
rumor going around about the pool that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, it seems to be some sort of rumor. Yep. With that, we're going to move on to agenda item 6. Presentation of certificates of appreciation to KIERAN Ward and Allison Perez Pena for their service in the Lower Makefield Township Police Explorer Program. This is the exciting part of today's meeting, which is why I know all of you are here. If you could. Oh, okay.
What do we have?
Good evening, Supervisors. If it's okay with you, I'd like to ask Corporal Mike Urban, our Police Explorer Advisor, to read some comments about our
Sure.
recipients this evening.
Sorry. First time. Good evening, members of the Board of Supervisors, Chief, families, and members of our community. Tonight, on behalf of the Lower Makefield Township Police Department, it is my privilege to recognize two graduates of our Police Explorer program, KIERAN and Allison. KIERAN is unable to join us because he is currently at Penn State beginning his next chapter. During his 5 years with our program, including 2 years of Explorer Lieutenant, he demonstrated outstanding leadership, integrity, and professionalism while mentoring our younger explorers. He is now participating in the Naval ROTC as he pursues his goal of becoming a United States Marine Corps officer. We congratulate KIERAN and thank him for his dedicated service. Allison, throughout your years with the program, you consistently demonstrate enthusiasm, professionalism, and a genuine willingness to learn. You represented our department proudly through training and community service. As you begin at Westchester University tomorrow and pursue your goal of becoming a veterinarian, we know your compassion and dedication will continue to serve you well. On behalf of the Police Department, it is my honor to present you with this certificate of appreciation and completion. Congratulations, Allison, and remember, you and KIERAN will always be members of our Explorer family. Thank you.
Congratulations, and Westchester's a wonderful university. You should be very proud.
The night before I went to college, I was not getting recognized for civic responsibility. Can we give Allison another round of applause? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, I will.
I noticed that.
We'll give everybody a chance to walk out. Matthew is a Westchester grad, yes?
Yes, he is.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to move on to agenda item 7. This is the Environmentally Advisory Council Heritage Tree Presentation and Recommendations. Mr. Bray, if you make sure, is the microphone working for you?
Yes,
Okay, good. Yep.
definitely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Bray, and I am a resident of Lower Makefield Township. Also, I am currently the chair of the Environmental Council in Lower Makefield Township. I would like to thank the board for the opportunity to present tonight nominations for heritage trees and heritage woodlands in Lower Makefield Township. Seated next to me is Cheryl Coffey, and in a second or two, Cheryl is going to introduce herself. But a couple of words about Cheryl. She's a relatively new member of our council, roughly about a year ago. And right from day one, she kind of hopped in and started doing stuff for us right away. Now, the way we actually have worked the council over many, many years is that everybody on the council is assigned a specific task or project that he or she moves forward with, and generally we ask for some kind of a timeline because otherwise we find out things just don't get done. But that has stood us well over the years because the people have a personal identity with that project, and it tends to be their project. So Cheryl was enamored of our heritage tree ordinance, and she prepared a presentation that I think you will enjoy. The presentation is short, concise, and thorough. And after the presentation is completed, hopefully the board will approve these nominations, and then we would request that a short resolution be prepared, signed by the Board of Supervisors, that affords the nominated trees and woodlands the protection afforded by the Heritage Tree Ordinance. Now I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl. Cheryl, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, again, as Jim said, okay. I'm Cheryl Coffey. I'm a resident of Lower Makefield for about 24 years now. I joined the committee probably closer to 2 years now, Jim. And so while my background is sustainability, Jim was really interested in pushing this heritage tree program forward. It's kind of sat since it was approved in 2019. So with that being said, we targeted several public trees located on public land that we could submit to the township, and I'll go through those really quickly. Again, as a reminder, the ordinance was passed in 2019. It basically outlined trees that could fall under one of 6 categories. I'll run through them really quick just as a reminder. They can be based on size. Some of them are based on the Audubon Society guidelines and tree guidelines for big trees of Pennsylvania. A type of species that's unique or rare. Age of trees, historical significance, ecological value, and or a group of trees or area that is of local significance. So as such, we picked 3 specimen trees and then 1 large area. So we'll go through those really quick. The first tree nominated is on Patterson Farm. It's the cucumber magnolia. It's nominated based on its size, historical significance, ecological value, as well. It's located on public land, so super easy. The Audubon Society in 2005 marked this tree as the #1 cucumber magnolia tree based on its size. And it's a living feature that's on the Patterson Farm, so it would be nice to add that as a preserved. It already has a plaque, so that's an easy win right then and there.
I might just interject that we're also going to be checking to see if this tree is the largest specimen in the United States, which is really incredible.
Again, it has some heritage as well. The second one is also on Patterson Farm. It's the saucer magnolia, also nominated on size, historical significance, ecological value on the public property. Audubon Society marked this as the #2 magnolia, saucer magnolia in the state. Again, it's an opportunity to mark this as a heritage tree and protect it further. It's already on public land and it's protected, but might as well nominate it. The next one, it's a little frail, it's a little old, but it's a very unique tree. In the Slate Hill Cemetery, there's a Franklinia, did I say it? That doesn't exist really in the wild anymore. It's a very rare tree. And so we would like to add that to the list. It has some historical significance, obviously being in the Slate Hill Cemetery. It's been there a long time. It's an opportunity to just monument that. And then the last one is a big push, but we thought we'd throw it in there. Slide. All All right, maybe not. Oh, there it is. The last one is 5 Mile Woods, and while that's already a protected area, it was noted that in the 1980 master plan, there were a lot of unusual species of not only trees, but wildlife and shrubbery that make this a unique area. We thought it was an opportunity for the ecological value as well as a very specific local significance to nominate that as well. While it's not individual trees necessarily, it's the whole space. So these were our first nominations. We're hoping that as people see these nominations get approved and see signage, that it gives people opportunity to look for other trees in their area, in their neighborhood, that maybe they want to bring forward.
I might add as well, when Cheryl was talking about the Franklinia tree, John Bartram was one of our early botanists in the United States, and in 1700, he is the one who actually discovered this species along the Altamaha River in Georgia. And I know Judy will be very cognizant of that because she's a Southern gal from Georgia, okay? And it was named after Benjamin Franklin. So the technical name of the tree is Franklinia altamaha. So it really has historical significance in its name as well. So I think at this stage, we'll certainly open the floor to any questions that the board might have or the public at large. But we are hoping that the board will approve these nominations, and then we request that a short resolution be written that will afford these trees heritage tree protection.
Quick question. The two at Patterson Farm, and Derek, this may be for you. Was it last year or the year before when we had a few trees come down on one of the buildings that we had to, I just want to make sure they're in good health and that they're protected from anything. That's a positive head nod. That's what I like to see, because we want to make sure they're okay, right?
Yep.
And then the Franklinia one's great. When I was in undergrad and grad school, I spent a lot of time at Bartram's Gardens, and basically that tree is extinct in the wild. So all the ones we see now come from seeds from the Bartram's Brothers Garden in West Philly, which is a great place to visit if anyone is interested in historic botany. They have some really cool stuff there. I've done some restoration work there as well, so that's a really neat one. I'm fully in favor of all the recommendations. I just want to make sure that the trees at Patterson Farm are well taken care of, given that we've had some issues due to weather the last few years with some of the larger trees in the area. But
Yeah, Jim scoped them out first to make sure they were still there.
Except the Franklinia tree is getting old, and well, you know, I'm getting old too, and I hope nobody just wants to get rid of me just because.
Jim, you're worthy of preservation.
Jim, I have a question.
Historic preservation, that's it.
Jim, I have a question.
Also, I'm a naturalist at Bowman's Hill, and a year or two ago, we actually tried to propagate seedlings and cuttings from that. And initially, we were unsuccessful, but we're going to give it a go again and see what happens.
I was going to ask you, because the tree looks like, is there anything that can be done to extend its life? I know trees, like everything else, have a life expectancy. And yes, I'm very familiar with the Altamaha, because it's the border. And I've fished on it at one point in my life. Is there anything we can do to help that tree along? I mean, you know I do everything for my ash every year, so.
Well, they actually have done some stuff. Also, if you're religious, you could pray for the tree. Okay?
I understand that, but other than that, is there any?
Other than that, what they're doing is they're staking it, because the branches right now are putting rods through various branches because they're getting weak.
Right.
Even as healthy as the cucumber magnolia is in Patterson Farm,
right,
it is so huge, the branches are so large and so heavy that they are supported by 2x6s, okay,
right,
so that they don't snap off.
I'm aware of that.
I think putting rods in is about the main thing that you can do, and also maybe we're going to be lucky in propagating it in the future, which would be nice.
It would be nice.
The goal would be also to map these for people to then go explore our neighborhoods and find information about the trees.
I was going to suggest along those lines, you know, naming 5 Mile Woods a specimen tree site or area, it could be, if you want another Don Quixote long-term quest for EAC, to present for us a vision of a way that we could, put plaques in various sites that could accompany the new pathway we put to say, hey, this is a tree you're looking at here. This is why it's important and what's unique about it. But no, thank you for the work and the effort. And out of curiosity, any idea how old each of these 3 individual trees is?
Yeah, I think roughly the date we came up with, and it's approximate, is for the cucumber magnolia and for the saucer magnolia from 1837.
Okay.
So that's pretty old, okay?
So, Mr. Chair, did you have a comment, or shall I make a motion here?
You're free to make a motion.
Perfect. If I may, I move that we accept the nomination of our EAC in order to name these 3 specific trees: the Patterson Farm Cucumber Magnolia, the Patterson Farm Saucer Magnolia, and the Slate Hill Cemetery Franklinia as heritage trees. And additionally, that we name 5 Mile Woods Specimen Tree Area a heritage tree site.
And I will happily second that.
With that, is there any public comment on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect that the motion passed 4-0. Cheryl, Jim, thank you so much, as always.
And thank you for your support on this and your past support on many other things that we brought in front of the board. Have a pleasant evening.
You too. For those interested in seeing the Franklinia tree, Slate Hill Cemetery has a special event occurring in mid-October, which will be made, everybody knows it's the special tour that's done where you go through and see the grave sites, and there's reenactors, and I'm told this year, again, we'll have another Tony Award winner actor in there. So you're definitely want to attend that event. It's relatively low cost. I'm forgetting, is it, Colin, you probably know the days, October 17th, 19th?
I don't have the dates in my head, but I would also add, Mr. Chair, that we have just completed the restoration of several dozen gravesites in Slate Hill Cemetery, thanks to the dedicated work of the Historic Commission, the Board of Supervisors, and some grants that made that possible. So it's a great year to go visit Slate Hill Cemetery.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to Agenda Item 8. This is the consent agenda items. I'd like to restate, we're adding after Agenda Item T, I guess that'd be U, a new U, which would be consider authorizing the expenditure of up to $13,000 to convert 2 existing tennis courts to accommodate 4 flex courts. That would be 2 tennis and 4 pickleball at the community park. So that'll be included on the consent agenda item. Does any member have a concern with any of the items in the consent agenda item? So if you want something removed from the consent
I don't want
agenda?
anything removed, I just wanted to clarify a couple items.
Sure.
I wasn't sure. So, item N, it's the top of the,
Yep.
Okay, yep.
everyone just fine. There's a list of 3 or 4?
4 vehicles.
4 vehicles?
Yep.
I just want to understand which department needs those vehicles and what they're going to.
Yeah, so those are police department vehicles. Derek, I don't, or Chief, I don't know if you want to come up and just, in the event that there's specific questions. Or Tim, Captain Reeves, I don't know if you want to come up as well.
And just the specific question to address, I believed at the beginning of the year, there was discussion from the chief that we had moved away from leasing police vehicles towards purchasing them. So just looking for clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. So these vehicles would be obviously for the Criminal Investigation Division, Detectives Division. Looking at the fleet as a whole, yes, the plan is to no longer lease patrol vehicles that have a short lifespan, 0 residual value, expensive upfit of over $30,000. These vehicles we're viewing as high equity positions, so we could swap these cars out within 5 years, have equity in them, keep the fleet young and new, so we don't have long-term maintenance on the cars.
Okay, I understand the difference.
And these are no increase in fleet. These are replacing old cars. We have currently 1 vehicle that has a misfire in a cylinder, another vehicle that's down. So these are swapping out cars that are beyond their useful life for the department.
Of interest, we have a Chevy Equinox, a Ford Maverick, which is a pickup truck, right? slightly, Mavericks are not large generally, but this is an XL, so maybe it's a little closer to Ranger side, I guess.
No, I think XL is the actual level, so XL is
Okay.
the base.
Not
XLT
extra
would be,
large?
yeah, it's just
Okay.
the base vehicle.
Good. So it's a small pickup. And then we got a Toyota Camry, right? Which is a little different from some of the other, probably moving in the right direction generally from some of the other vehicles we have relative to cost
Correct.
savings.
More reasonable vehicles, more
Yeah.
fuel economic. Obviously, there's a reason for diversity of these types of vehicles for the
Yeah.
department, so yes, all that.
Okay.
included.
That's, I just wanted to make sure because I hadn't seen those before. Otherwise, everything else on here is in the budget, right? Was previously budgeted for, so we're just executing what we said in the budget, right?
Yep.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd add for the record, too, the interest rate that Mega got, I guess, from Sovereign for the larger trucks was actually really good. I was like pretty surprised on that. Now, public have any concerns with any consent agenda items to remove them? If you're, the only thing you can ask is if you want to remove something from the consent agenda item. So if you're okay with that being in there, then I think that's okay. No one else has any comments? With that, does anybody have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Mr.
item?
Chair, may I move that we accept the consent agenda items as included, or as amended, items A through U?
Second?
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Point of order.
Yep,
There's a motion to accept the consent.
yep,
Therefore, it should be open for discussion. The motion to accept.
okay.
That you asked?
I said, does anybody have any comments?
This young lady and this young man.
Does it
And-
after we have the motion?
Reminder to please come up to,
Okay, please, Mr.,
Sure.
respectfully, if you could come to the microphone?
Microphone?
Yeah.
We have no.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Rubin made a point of order that public comment should be permitted on the motion to accept, and the board acknowledged.
Could be.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin.
I'm Ellie Fisher. I'm a Lower Makefield Township resident. Thank you for moving this up to the consent. I think that's a good thing for us because it means you're going to approve it, and we really appreciate
It's already
that.
approved.
Okay. We just had a couple questions. Is this
Sure.
the time to ask them?
Sure, it's fine.
All right, thank you. And Derek might have to answer them, I don't know.
Yeah, Derek, I'm sorry, Ellie. Derek, you may just want to come up just in the event that there are questions that you could be helpful with.
Oh, good.
So I know Derek had told me that we're going to do 2 tennis courts and paint them into 4 pickleball courts.
That is correct. That is the cost that the board has just authorized. Yes, the 2 back tennis courts, community park by the pool, which are lit, would be converted into 4 flex pickleball courts. That's correct.
Okay, awesome. So the question is the nets. Are we going to do, like we have a Cardinal,
Yes.
the same nets?
That's the bulk of the cost is due to the better, high-quality nets that you have at Cardinal Courts. That is correct.
Thank you so much. That is, we won't even bring up Revere, because but not now. But thank you so much. We all appreciate this a lot. Thank you.
Yep.
Zachary Rubin, 1661 Covington Road. I rise and to thank the board for supporting this resolution to expend $13,000. However, I do not want it to be a one and done. Pickleball is a sport for all ages. However, the Pickleball Club of Lower Makefield, which is made up of hundreds of people, are predominantly seniors. The 2020 census of Lower Makefield said there are 33,180 residents. Of that, from 0 to 19 years old, 23% of our residents are that age group. However, from 60 to older, 29%. Therefore, we do have a large proportion of seniors in this township. The Commonwealth has recognized the importance of seniors because they know that most of our taxes go to the school districts to the Commonwealth. Therefore, the state allocated monies to build a senior center in every one of the 501 school districts in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, the senior center in Pennsbury was built in Falls Township. In 2018, our state legislator, Steve Santasera, recognized this deficiency in this township and got a grant for $1 million to build a senior center in Lower Makefield, with the stipulation that the township would match it with $1 million. And they did. However, that senior center morphed into a community center. And yes, the Lower Makefield seniors use it on a regular basis. However, it's not adequate for a place for seniors to go in cold weather, in hot weather, to shoot some pool, play some ping pong, and just hang out. Now, in our township, the Parks and Recreation budget, including the fund transfers from the reserve funds to the operating funds, is $2.2 million. Okay, we thank you for the $13,000 that you're going to allocate for this, but again, we do not want this to be the end with all. Now, I would like, through the chair, to ask our solicitor a question.
Sure.
Thank you. At Memorial Park, we have tennis/pickleball courts. We know there's litigation going on about the integrity of those courts. My question is to the solicitor, can this board expend monies to fix this up with the anticipation that we're going to get a favorable ruling, and then with that ruling, reimburse the expenditures? In other words, would that any kind of negation or any to our lawsuit, that if we can fix that up with the expectation that eventually we're going to recoup the money?
That would be a board/business decision. It would not be illegal for them to do so. However, it would have to be voted upon, and it would be more of a business decision and is definitely a board decision.
Okay, well, thank you for that answer. Again, I'd like to commend the board that they're about to vote on this resolution, and again, thank you.
All right. With Mr. Rubin will be appearing at the Chuckle Hut on Route 10 in Parsippany, and don't forget to tip your server. With that, we'll move on to Agenda Item 9, Community Development. Oh, yes, we did vote to approve. We voted.
We did to vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. In all of the commotion.
Moving on to Agenda Item 9, Community Development. Consider approval of the Farm's Edge at Shady Brook Farm Access Roadway Land Development Plan.
We can hardly hear you. Well, here we are. Oh, there's my friend Ed.
Can you send me the text? This crew. We have a court reporter for this? Okay.
That wants me to make sure that.
Huh? Huh? Oh, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, no problem.
All right, and who's here to speak on behalf? Is it you, Mr. Murphy? Okay.
If you're ready, whenever.
Certainly. We'll give the court reporter a moment to prepare.
Yep, as soon as she's ready, we'll.
Yep. And thank you. With that reminder, be on your best behavior now and no expletives. With that, Mr. Murphy, you can proceed.
Good evening and thank you. I'm Ed Murphy. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Fox Lane Homes, to present a land development plan that is somewhat different and unusual because unlike typical land development plans, it doesn't contemplate the construction of a house, a building, or anything else. It is limited to the construction of a proposed driveway across a portion of the lower Makefield portion of Shady Brook Farm to a proposed point of intersection with existing Township Line Road and Stony Hill Road intersection. It would, if approved, this driveway would provide the fourth leg to that existing signalized intersection. That driveway is intended to serve a residential subdivision that has received preliminary plan approval in Middletown Township. And based on discussions earlier this year with staff, your staff, it was determined that the proposed driveway should not be considered or reviewed as a building permit, but rather as a more formal, fully engineered land development plan. We have followed that directive from staff, and the plan that's in front of you has undergone several revisions, the most recent of which has resulted in a series of updated review letters from your township consultants. Those reviews include what's known as Land Development Review Letter Number 3 from your township engineer, HRG. That review is dated July 31, 2026. There is a review of July 10, 2026 from your Office of the Fire Service Director. There are two reviews from your traffic consultant, Pannoni, one dated July 2, 2026, the other dated July 29, 2026. And then finally, there is a review from your EAC dated July 29, 2026. We've had a chance to consider the review comments in all of those review letters that I just outlined and with which we have no issue. There has been circulated in anticipation of consideration of action tonight by your board, a series of possible conditions that, again, we've had the courtesy of being provided with in advance and have had a chance to review. As you think about your anticipated action this evening, I can confirm that those conditions are acceptable to the applicant, and it might be easier just to read into the record what they are so that if they form the basis for conversation, that's fine. Those, among other potential conditions, those conditions include the acknowledgement and approval by Middletown Township of the management of stormwater that would be generated by the improvement of the driveway in Lower Makefield. That stormwater is intended to be collected and transmitted and stored and managed in Middletown Township, not in Lower Makefield Township. And one condition would be confirming, which we've already have, that Middletown Township's review of the plans, both preliminary and the final plans that have been submitted and are going to be reviewed this fall, would include a condition that that stormwater management design has been and will be approved, which your own township engineer has confirmed as designed is acceptable. Number two, the receipt of any outside agency permits, which we refer to generally, but specifically would be DEP for the aforementioned stormwater management design in the form of an NPDES permit, also PennDOT, as it relates to the creation of the proposed fourth leg of that intersection. We have already, in concert with the Lower Makefield staff, submitted a scoping application to PennDOT, and that collaboration is actively underway. 3 would be the payment of your ordinance-mandated traffic impact fee for those trips generated by the approved Middletown Township project, even though the project is not being built in Middletown, it is nonetheless potentially impacted by the establishment of the principal access driveway through Lower Makefield to a point of connection with Stony Hill and Township Line Road. So we have agreed with staff that any condition of this land development approval would require the payment to Lower Makefield of that traffic impact fee, which I believe is in the neighborhood of $196,000. I think in that range. Whatever it is, we acknowledge it, but I believe it is in that magnitude. Fourth would be, again, the subject of future discussion with the township if necessary, but obviously we are aware that there is a larger master plan initiative now being considered or championed, pursued by Lower Makefield through its master plan consultant, Cecil Baker, looking at a larger view of how the Shady Brook Farm property would ultimately be developed. We acknowledge that even though we believe, and I think your township engineer and Cecil Baker in its earlier charrettes of whatever master plan they're considering, think that this proposed location of the driveway is where it should be in order to create the fourth leg of the intersection. We acknowledge, however, that in the event that in the future the township recommends a realignment or relocation of that driveway to an alternate location, we would be solely responsible for the cost of that relocation. That could, we don't know when that will happen. You largely control how that and when that ultimate decision is made. But whenever it is, we will agree to relocate if required. We acknowledge that as part of any construction of the driveway, if it would be approved, that if there would be any damage done to Township Line Road, as part of that installation, we obviously would indemnify and hold everyone harmless and pay for the cost of that damage. And there is another condition proposed that a secondary means of access to service the Middletown Township project would have to be located in Middletown Township. That is true, that is proposed, and that is an acceptable condition. And I think your staff has now confirmed that the plans that we've submitted for final approval in Middletown do show a secondary means of access to a internal roadway in Middletown known as Clifton Road. So those are at least the conditions that have been suggested by staff to us that would be appropriate to impose, and I'm here to acknowledge that will accept as any condition of approval those conditions that I've outlined. So,
hold on a second.
Not sure that I have much more to offer other than what I've summarized, and the review letters speak for themselves. We've had ample opportunity to talk to your consultants about all of them, so happy to answer any other questions. To my immediate left is Joe Morrissey, one of the principals of Fox Lane Homes. He can answer any questions as well. And to Joe's left is Rob Cunningham from Holmes Cunningham, the project engineer. And all of us have been actively engaged with your consultants, Dave and Maureen, to flesh out a lot of these issues, as I hope I've accurately summarized just now. So.
Before we get into questions, I'd like to ask the solicitor a question. So at this point, we don't have a draft agreement for approval. So any motion tonight would be only a preliminary to draft the final agreement?
Yes, correct, we do not have a draft agreement. These were agreed upon, I believe, today.
Okay.
So yes, it would be a conditional approval based on a agreement to be drafted to the, for your consideration and approval.
Okay. With that, at this time, I'll ask if any supervisors have questions. Who wants to go first?
I'll go quickly.
Okay.
You keep saying driveway. I'm assuming that the traffic will go in two directions?
The driveway? Sure.
It's not a driveway, it's a road. I mean, let's call it, when you
It
think
is-
of a driveway, you think of what you're
However you want to
going into your
characterize
home.
it, it is intended to be
Be
a
a
two-way means of
two-way,
ingress
okay,
and
that-
access.
I
Correct.
just want to make sure we're all on the same path
We are.
here. Okay.
Supervisor Grenier?
Sure. A couple clarifying questions, Ms. Murphy. Actually, just so folks understand what we're looking, could you actually go to the next slide, just so folks at home can see what we're talking about? That should work. Or, yeah. So how many units are in Middletown?
Let Joe go through it. If you want
Okay.
Dan to, a quick overview, we can provide that.
That would be great.
Quick overview of the overall kind of Farms Edge neighborhood. It's 53 acres, all in Middletown Township. There's 129 homes, 73.
Oh, I don't think your mic is picking you up. We just got the red light in the back.
I apologize.
There you go. Sounds good.
So the entire residential neighborhood is in Middletown Township, 53 acres. There's 129 homes, 73 of them are carriages, 14 of them are twins, and 42 of them are single families. Kind of starting right to left, obviously you have kind of Stony Hill Road, Township Line, you're coming into the boulevard. You have the pond on the right. Our expectation is that's going to be the centerpiece of the neighborhood, the kind of wow as you drive up into it. That'll be on the right as you come into it, which obviously would be a benefit for Farms Edge and then also for Shady Brook in the future. There's a roundabout as you come into the neighborhood. Clubhouse is right to your left with a swimming pool and a couple pickleball courts. And then as you kind of go through, you have the units. Most of the singles and the twins are on the right side of the kind of the northern part of the property. The carriages are all on the kind of southern part of the property. When we worked with Middletown on this, we spent probably close to 3 years. Of the 53 acres, 40% of it is open space. So you have a really nice trail that goes through the middle of it, and a bunch of kind of wildflower meadows all around the perimeter and the outside, which is when we met with the Silver Lake residents and the Villas of Shady Brook residents, and there was probably 40 meetings over the 3 years that we kind of came to this overall layout and open space and everything that went through it. So kind of the nice thing is, you know, the overall with the homes and with everything that goes into it, but it's the pond, it's the trails, it's the possibility of connecting Lower Make through Middletown and then eventually into Court Creek.
I appreciate that. I will say, given the, kind of emphasize what you were just saying, Judy, given the number of units there, this is definitely a road, not a driveway, right? I think that should be made clear to our residents. I'm wondering, and I don't know if you were here earlier, but are those pickleball courts public, or is this going to be an HOA?
It would be a HOA.
Sorry, pickleball
I
folks.
have one question. Is this age restricted?
Yeah.
It is age restricted, so 55 and above.
So is this, only because we have a presentation with a couple, I'm not sure if we have the same PowerPoint you do or not, that we were provided. We have another slide that is ahead of this slide with a slightly different alignment and some other things labeled for the road itself.
And I think we updated this a little bit from the last one we submitted 2 weeks ago before when the meeting got canceled because of the
Weather.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, this was kind of the latest and greatest in the cleaned up plan.
So this is okay. I just want to make sure I
that's the
see.
one we have, yeah.
One, Mr. Murphy, you had, one of the conditions you had mentioned was potential realignment of the road. Right. Now, I just want to clarify, because as you mentioned, we are going through, and for everyone else in the room and watching, we are going through a master planning process.
Right.
Not only the Shady Brook property, but the surrounding area. A few weeks back, we had two long nights of community planning and input with lots of conversation around what could go in the whole region, but, and here as well. So there is the potential, it's, in my mind, it's a little bit of cart before the horse, putting a road in before we.
You've expressed that previously.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, I appreciate the willingness to address it in the future, but I want to make sure that what you were saying was, if this maintains the intersection, maybe the alignment ends up not looking like that based on the overall master plan, or maybe it starts like this, but it could change based on the overall master. Is that way I don't want to put words in your mouth. I just want to make sure I understood. Okay.
Yes.
I appreciate the flexibility. I'll say
Yes.
that up front.
I'm saying that if in the future, the collaboration of Cecil Baker and your public ultimately determines that the configuration or interconnection with Township Line Road is not going to be there, but maybe somewhere else, we will agree to relocate the road at our cost to accommodate whatever future location is selected.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Dave, correct me if I'm, Cecil Baker, do we mean?
Michael Baker,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, Michael Baker, yes.
There's always somebody else involved. I want to make sure I wasn't missing someone. I'm not teasing
calling
you.
the guy the wrong name.
Okay, so the work, we hired an outside consultant, Michael Baker, to help us with the planning. That's what we're referencing.
Cecil
here.
Baker is an architect. That's
I'm there with you. I get it. Now, I will say, from our perspective, I think some of us are a little bit frustrated. You mentioned some great community outreach that you did with Middletown. 3 years, 40-plus meetings. In Middletown shoes, they're probably seeing this. I want to figure out why there is no, to me it seems a little bit dangerous too, but why is there no primary access, even if you maintain this, why is there not another access point to the neighborhoods of Middletown, to a Middletown road that is a usable daily drive?
When we looked at it, there is an option to kind of go along the Villas of Shady Brook, down along the Township Line Road, a little bit farther south. When we have our traffic engineer really look at it, there's a couple different things. It's definitely not as safe to go out at Stony Hill compared to going a little farther south. It's the way the road configures there, it gets a little bit more dangerous. But the bigger thing is when we really looked at it, we just figured going out at Stony Hill was the best place for it. The traffic ends up in the same spot. We actually did the analysis to say if you went out through Middletown or if you went out through Lower Make, it's 65% of the traffic literally will go to Lower Make, 35 will go to Middletown. But either exit, whether you were for Middletown or for Lower Make, the traffic ends up in the same spot. So,
And we may be talking past each other a little bit. So in that same slide I was looking at, there is an alternative access a little further south on Stony Hill that sounds like you might be talking about. I'm wondering, there's a neighborhood behind where there's, I think you have a path there that goes between some homes at some point. Why there isn't an access point, a secondary access point, means of 24-hour ingress and egress all the time into one of those neighborhoods to the west of the development versus putting everything through one means of ingress and egress to the east.
yeah, we just looked at it, kind of what we thought based on our consultants, working with township staff and their consultants. We thought the best place was going out at Stony Hill with the emergency access through Silver Lake.
Okay. When we get these types of developments, it's very rare that we would have a single point of ingress and egress for a development of this size, especially if it's 55 plus. I think that's one of my main concerns is that is safety and putting everything through one point in Lower Make, especially if this is going to be a commercial development that'll be under next door. Eventually, there's going to be a lot of construction there, as you know, as I'm sure you're aware. And when that's all under construction, your residents at this development will very likely experience some issues and delays when other things in the surrounding area are under construction just by nature of construction. So I have some concerns about putting everything through one point. So I think even if that means talking to the folks at Shady Brook during their construction of having another means of ingress and egress along their property, not necessarily to Middletown, but I think it's important that we look at safety issues moving forward especially during that construction of the larger project. Now, the stormwater management condition that, I hadn't seen all the conditions you had mentioned, so I just want to make sure I heard them right. It sounds like the stormwater, did I hear you correctly when you said that, I thought I heard that this new road, the Lower Makefield Road, the stormwater management that is necessary for that road would be treated in Middletown?
Correct.
Okay. Where would you do that? How would that be done here? How would that be
Bob can
implemented?
explain more detail.
Sure. So within the Middletown portion, we have 4 large stormwater facilities which will capture and treat the stormwater for the site. We looked at the project from an overall standpoint, meaning the 53 acres within Middletown and then the 12 acres within our limit of disturbance in Lower Makefield. So we looked at it as an overall project site. So from a planning standpoint, we wanted to make sure we had the flexibility to manipulate things in the future in Lower Makefield. So didn't want to encumber a large area with a stormwater basin. So we're over detaining in Middletown, and the infrastructure in Lower Makefield is just drainage pipes. So that we're conveying the stormwater to a point past the pond, and then it will go down through the stream.
So basically, you're going to have inlets along the road and then pipe
Correct.
infrastructure under the road that takes it back. You have the topography to take it back to the middle. So it's a raindrop that falls on the east side will go into an inlet and it'll flow to the west side.
Correct. And all of our stormwater goes in that one direction.
Okay.
And just to give you some more global, on the other side, there's the large basin, on the other side of Stony Hill Road, there's the large basin from Prickett Preserve, which comes also through that way. So we're conveying all of that stormwater through safely, meeting all of the requirements, obviously, for not only Lower Makefield, but Middletown and PADP. So we think we have a really good design. And again, our main goal was, as kind of you pointed out with the road, is having the flexibility to adjust things in the future. We felt like putting a stormwater facility there just for the road was not in our best interest.
Now, that pond is labeled as like an eco park or eco pond or something like that. That's not part of your stormwater management system, is it?
No, correct. And that was through recommendations from your EAC. And obviously, you know, the zoning ordinance has protections, riparian buffers, wetlands buffers. So, and that pond isn't in the greatest condition. It's not the most visually attractive thing. So we agreed to remove the impervious coverage that's in that area and then plant more native plants and things like that. And I don't think we have a defined design in terms of what species they are and, you know, the rate, but, you know.
But essentially, you're not trying to use the pond for stormwater management.
We are not.
pond,
No.
which would
No,
DEP would give you a hard time on.
Correct. It's a protected resources under your ordinance. So we're not only protecting that, but we're outside of the buffers.
I got you. Okay, and then, so you have an HOA. Now, and who's the owner of the road? Is that the HOA?
We would be, yeah.
Okay, so you're responsible for all
Yep.
all maintenance, all plowing?
No expectation that Lower Makefield or Middletown would have any maintenance responsibilities now or in the future.
So we're not going to have an entire community in Middletown show up to our meetings about plowing or anything like that?
Yeah, John, I believe that was a condition of the Citizens Traffic Commission, right? Was the maintenance of the roadway being privately maintained?
Yeah, they had recommended that. And
Shade trees, I think, as well, right?
Yep, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the AC, of course, obviously native plants. But yes, so that was covered. And the Plan Commission approved the location there as opposed to the one that was south of that as well.
And that, what happens in the event, you have a contract with someone to plow or do something to maintain the road and they just don't show up? And we get calls because it's in Lower Makefield for safety reasons that we have to go out and do something. How are we going to address that?
So the one thing I'll tell you is we have a really good relationship with all the townships we currently build in. We have a lot of really happy homeowners, but I would personally give my cell phone number to anybody at the township that would be responsible for that. John Rathbon, who's directly behind me, that handles all that for our neighborhoods, deals with all the HOAs and all the land development. We'd give you his cell phone number too. But if you happy to give you the references of other townships that do business with us now, and I'm not saying things don't come up at times, but when they call us, we deal with it and we fix it pretty quickly.
And I'm not saying you guys won't do it, but you have contractors that deal with stuff, and you
Yeah.
rely on others other
So
than yourself.
we started Fox Lane 10 years ago,
Yep.
and probably 90% of the vendors that started with us 10 years ago are still with us, and the only ones that aren't is just because as we've gotten a little bit larger, it's a little bit, we've gotten added additional vendors. But, I can promise you that having issues with Middletown neighbors coming to your meetings won't be one of your problems.
And then
Before we do that, and I know the court recorder's covered everything, but let the record reflect that the applicant has requested it to give their personal cell phone number, their email address to the township, including Derek, our Director of Operations,
Feel free to add it as a condition of approval.
as well as Mr. Murphy's.
Yeah.
Can't change the number either. So I guess when it comes to potential realignment of the road in the future as we go through this planning process, what is the relationship, if any, between Fox Lane and the folks that may be developing the Shady Brook? The Shady Brook development? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so the way it worked is ELU DeLuca tied up the entire property. We tied up the property with ELU DeLuca on the Middletown side. We have a great working relationship with both, Bob Rosenthal and Vince DeLuca. We've done some other things with them also. So totally separate companies, but, work really well together. And, selfishly for us, whatever happens in Lower Make has a big impact on us and obviously our future homeowners. So making sure whatever gets, assuming the township's in agreement with it, whatever gets developed in Lower Makefield in the future, we want to be involved in it. And like I said, all the meetings, as far as not directly with Lower Make, but all the behind the scenes stuff, we're talking, if not daily, definitely weekly on everything going on in Middletown, plus anything that's happening in Lower Make.
So your court, so if some change has to be made, you guys are coordinated and there's no, okay. Had you considered any other type of development here besides just the 55-plus community, based on the whole master plan that we're discussing with others here?
So we looked at a couple different things, as we went through. When we do land development on the Fox Lane side, we spend a lot of time with township staff and with the neighbors up front trying to figure out. For Middletown, they were trying to stay away from the school-age children, traffic, some of the other things. And then when we did the analysis on it, we figured kind of the active adult was the best option. It seemed that the villas of Shady Brook loved it. I think the Silver Lake neighbors were the most happy with it. And the township, liked the overall layout, the thought. When you looked at kind of what the by right plan was compared to the age-restricted plan, you were able to, the open space kind of grew. The lot coverage was less than what the by right single-family plan was. The impervious was less. So there's a lot of really good things that went for it. And we always say with active adult neighborhoods, they're great neighbors because you're usually not dealing with, loud parties. You're not dealing with, issues of, stuff that you might be dealing with if people, younger people. But the other kind of nice thing is the age restricted, they shop local, they go to the doctors local. They're good residents to have. So I think, Middletown like that as well.
What was the, so did you have to get a zoning overlay for Middletown or a rezone? You mentioned by right versus something else, so is that?
Map change.
Yeah, like a text amendment, was it?
It was a text amendment. There's a age-qualified district within Middletown that the villas that Shady Brook was under. We asked for a map change and a modification of the text amendment.
Okay, so density was basically by right, but okay, I get what you're saying. Okay. Okay. I guess my biggest concern is still the lack of a throughway through into Middletown. And I'm trying to wrap my head around that as we move forward. But I do appreciate the flexibility on the other side, because I do think you do need two ways in and out of this place. But I'll let other people comment. Thank you.
I'm just going to say I
Supervisor
agree with
Coyle?
Dan.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you
Sure,
have
Judy?
questions? Or-
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk very briefly, thank you for the detailed responses. Very briefly about the Clifton Road. So on the map, that's the section on the west where there is not a section of homes where the road curves, right? I had thought that was, you've talked about a walking trail. Is that the walking trail, or is that the emergency access, or is that both of those things?
It's both of those things. So it works as both the walking trail and emergency access into Silver Lake.
Okay. Mr. Murphy, were you counsel on the Wright Farm when they came here? So did the Board of Supervisors require 2 entrances and exits from Wright Farm during that development? I think we only approved 1. Is that correct? Okay. And at the time, if I recall the discussion from my time on planning, the residents raised concerns about through traffic, right, going through and causing safety issues with folks wanting to move in and out through that second. Just my impression looking at this plan is that if you did have a second 24/7 entrance to Clifton, assuming development at that Shady Brook site, it would promote a lot of through traffic of folks from that Clifton neighborhood wanting to avoid making left turns onto 2 major roads to get into the Shady Brook site.
I think that's accurate, and Joe knows firsthand because he's had multiple meetings.
Sorry, Mr. Murphy, the microphone.
The answer to your question is yes, and I think Mr. Morrissey, who's had direct conversations with those neighbors in the Clifton Road proximity of where that proposed walking trail and emergency access, expressed that very concern.
Right.
Right.
And then Fox Lane is the developer, and then when you're done developing the properties, the management and maintenance of the property gets turned over to a homeowners association. Fox Lane does not remain a party to that, is that correct?
Correct. Once the development is, fully developed and dedicated, at that point, yeah, we would turn it over, usually earlier in the process, to the HOA, but
Okay.
at that point, it would be the HOA in charge.
In addition to the terms that Mr. Murphy offered at the beginning of your appearance tonight, would you be willing to also accept that the HOA covenants, or the covenants governing the HOA itself, include a provision that obligates the homeowners association to reimburse Lower Makefield Township should Lower Makefield Township have to perform any services on the access road to preserve access for life, safety, and welfare of the residents?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
To be fair.
All right. My other notes are related to the cucumber magnolia from earlier. So, this is the other question I have is actually for Mr. Kratzer. So, in the review letter, the HRG review letter, there was a statement on peak flow rate, right? HRG had said that there's a decision at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors related to the peak flow rate to be managed off the site. I'm sorry, I made a note on it, and I don't have it.
Comment 2 on the July 31st HRG review letter number 3.
Thank you very much. Do we need to make a decision on that peak flow rate at this time? Is that moot based upon the obligation to manage the stormwater in another site, or has that already been, is there a follow-up recommendation from the engineer on that rate?
Corey, I don't know if you want to speak to that, or Rob, whether you want to just.
I mean, so the section that HRG references is related to redevelopment sites. And it gives you 2 criteria by which a redevelopment site can be reviewed. The first one is compliance with your stormwater ordinance as written. And then the other one is to remove more than 20% of the existing impervious coverage within the project site area. So just to give you some background, within Lower Makefield, we are constructing a road, but as you know, there's a series of roads and driveways that are on the farm. We're proposing to remove 22% more than the existing. So we believe we meet the that condition, and then also from our overall project, which is, like I said, the 53 and the 12, we do meet the peak rate reductions of your ordinance.
Got it.
Obviously, it's in Middletown, but again, that was a design decision more than anything.
And one thing you should be aware of, and I became aware of recently, is that your ordinance is more strict from a stormwater standpoint than Middletown's. When we designed this stormwater design, we took that into account. So the, quote, over-design in Middletown reflects the increased obligation imposed upon an applicant in Lower Makefield. So I think we have the belts and suspenders in the design in Middletown to address your more stringent standards.
We welcome Middletown to follow our amazing example on environmental protection. I have no further questions at this time, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Reese, yes.
I'm looking at the road, and I noticed that, of course, there's going to be other development. And I assume that road is, that intersection's going to handle some of that other development?
That is correct, yes.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm in the 55 and over, to say the least, and I would be very concerned with only one wait for emergency vehicles to get in and out. There's going to be a lot of people there. I mean, there's a lot of homes. And with only one way in and out in any type of emergency, even if it's a minor, people tend to panic, and everybody wants to get out, even if they don't need to, and unfortunately. And it concerns me a little bit, just to show me.
So you're going to have to speak into that microphone there. You can take it out of its clip.
Yeah, so just to make sure.
Thank you.
So obviously, Township Line, kind of main boulevard coming in. This here is actually our emergency access.
Okay.
Yeah, so the thought process is, if there ever was an emergency where there's a bad accident here,
right,
someone need to get through, this is how we get them through the back. So we do have two accesses.
Awesome.
One main access to a separate emergency access.
Thank you. But I'm want to make sure, because with additional, and I know it's going to be some retail, because it's a mixed use, that how much traffic, not from this development, because, people only come and go a couple of times a day, but with commercial also coming through there, it could be, a great deal of traffic. Is that going to be the only entrance and exit to this, or will there be a secondary one
So
at some point?
we designed this road to make sure that no matter what happens in Lower Make, that this road would be able to handle whatever kind of traffic went through it. So we did think ahead.
Good.
The thought process, though, is if whatever happens on the
Yes.
Lower Make side, realistically, you're probably thinking as you go into Prickett's Preserve and into Shady Brook, that would be some kind of road network at some point in the future either. So there's a chance that you might have,
We already have two lights.
yeah, you could have some additional access that way. So, yeah, we did kind of contemplate all that.
Thank you, because that was my concern.
Just building on your question.
Supervisor Grenier, yeah.
Sorry. Can you describe what that particular point's going to look like at is it Clifton, or what's the name of the road?
Right here, Chilton Place.
Chilton Place.
Yeah. So this is Silver Lake. This is the villas of Shady Brook, kind of down this way. So what ends up happening is we're going to do roughly, John confirmed, 16 feet wide?
20 feet wide.
20 feet wide.
8-foot trail. Sorry.
Can you give him the...
Sorry, you're going to have to speak at a microphone. Apologies.
John Rathbun. Working with the fire marshal of Middletown Township. A lot of times you see emergency accesses that are grass pavers. He was very adamant that at least a portion of the path be macadam. So we have a 8-foot wide trail, and then there's 6 foot on each side of grass pavers, so that the fire trucks and emergency services can always find the access. And then we double that up as an extension of the trail that works its way from Lower Makefield through Farm's Edge, out to Chilton, and hopefully out to Corkery Park.
Is that going to be gated with a lock gate? Yes. All right. So in the event of an emergency, Middletown Township Police, Fire and Rescue, et cetera, I'm assuming Lower Makefield as well, just in case?
Correct.
Would have keys or access, whatever the type of access is, but residents would not be able to access the gate themselves?
Correct.
Okay. To me, that's a concern. Like, I understand in that if something happens there and the residents have to get out quickly and they can't because they have to wait for someone to find a key or whatever it is, that's a concern.
We do have the president of a volunteer fire company here, if we want his opinion on the matter of safety.
Mr. Chairman, if you want to come to before we open it to public comment on this agenda item.
Larry Newman, Yardley Makefield Fire Company president, also the main driver out of the station over here. I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm just saying that because I see a lot of problems with this. Going through a neighborhood, first of all, if you're talking about an access road, it's very difficult. We're going to have to unlock a gate. I mean, they're going to have to unlock a gate. I can see a lot of that fire trucks having to enter off of Township Line Road or at that traffic light, which is a very heavy, congested area right now. You put 129 homes, you're talking probably another 250 cars, if everybody has 2 cars, going through there. I got to tell you, right now, Middletown Township has trouble getting out during the day. I can name 3 times when they didn't even get out, and we had to take their call. So you better make sure you have the fire marshal's blessing on this, because I'm going to tell you something. An access road is not a good idea for trucks that are very big, very heavy, 48,000 pounds, to go over an access road. I'm concerned, and I'm the driver.
We met with the Middletown Fire Marshal on several occasions, and he definitely blessed it enough so driving the fire truck through Silver Lake, just making sure that all the turns and everything work for it. But what I would be open to, if there's an opportunity for us to sit down with you and with the Middletown Fire Marshal, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, we'd be happy to do that as well, just to make sure everyone's comfortable with it.
Yeah, and there's other thing I'm concerned about. Another 129 homes. We're going to be on every time it's a report of a house fire. We're on it. We're on it almost all their calls right now. I got to tell you, it's not a good situation. And it's just going to add more calls to us. And during the day, you know how light we are. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Dave, do we have a standard on chain or not chain? Because I feel, from my time on planning, it went whichever way the neighboring residents wanted. You know, some residents didn't want a chain because they didn't want people cutting through over grass pavers. Some people wanted a chain. Do we have a standard in the township?
I don't believe we have a set standard on that issue.
Okay.
I think some of what we do when we have a secondary access that's not full-time is often, it's not even secondary, it might be the 3rd or 4th option. It's just in a back spot to get to a part of the neighborhood that is, you can get there, but you don't want to get there all the time. But like you mentioned Wright Farm earlier, I believe that's 45 or 47 units versus 129, and they're single-family homes and a lot of big road. So it's a little bit apples and oranges, apples and pears maybe, when we're talking about that. But I think that question about safety and the level of access, secondary access in this point, I think most people would use this access point that right? Just that's where people come from. But having a secondary access point, I think, is very important. What that looks like, I think.
You want it in Lower Makefield?
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
The secondary or a second access?
Second access.
You want it in Lower Makefield? There's an opportunity, if you wanted, for us to connect to existing improvements at Shady Brook that's going to be retained and come out at a different point. That is something that would address what you're thinking about.
So what brainstorming, what I think is you have basically maybe 1/3, 2/3 of your community towards the main access road, right? If you were able to find an access point to the west, in the event that something to the east or on Stony Hill is a bust. You know, something's going on Stony Hill that doesn't allow you to get to Stony Hill, right? Forget just the one intersection, but if Stony Hill, something is going on there and it's shut down, and you can't, there's no way to use another road, right now. So I would like you to, and I know there's a lot of homes there, and there's other developments around you that are fairly dense, but I would like you to consider a second access point to the west that doesn't get, I'm saying to the west, but that doesn't go through Stony Hill. So you have another way out in case something goes drastically wrong with Stony Hill for any reason.
But your thought is to go through a neighborhood on the Middletown side?
That's what I can see. You got to get by the mic again, I'm sorry. But that's what I can see on the screen, but that doesn't mean that's the only option, if that makes sense. I don't know if there's something.
I don't know anywhere else on the west side that you could potentially get a road out.
Yeah. I mean, where you have the walking path looks like an option, right? It doesn't mean it's the only option. It's the one that sticks out because you already have, you're showing a path, so that's what our eyes go to, right? But if you have, I don't know what's at the end of that cul-de-sac that's at the extreme west of the development in the northwest corner. I don't know if there's a way to, I know Holy Family's back there, right? I don't know if there's a road.
Holy Family's to the north, and then to the direct, west is a private property, then the Pico lines run through there as well.
So there's like a Pico easement or something like that back there? I'm not designing it for you. I'll say that. I do this for a living, but I'm not designing it for you right now on the fly. I'm just wondering if there's something another way to get in and out of the development that does not include primary access from Stony Hill.
So we've talked to the Lichtensteins own the property just to the west. I've approached them a couple times potentially, because at one point we were going to try to use some of their spaces as open space, on the plan. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. We also have talked to Holy Family. It's been a little while, but they didn't have an interest of us, trying to exit out through there. So I'm just trying to be straightforward. I don't think there's an option to go anywhere out the west, other than kind of what we're showing with the emergency access out through Silver Lake.
And so Shady, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, please. The property it's not really farm property right now, but whatever they're using it for, just to your north, that's all Shady Brook, right? All those fields, those cleared fields?
Not exactly.
And if you can grab the microphone again, please.
Sure. And I might not be perfect on this, but Holy Family is probably right here.
Okay.
And then Shady Brook will be the rest up through here.
Does Shady Brook go all the way up to the bypass or no?
No, Jefferson.
Jefferson there. And then to the north of Shady Brook, to the
Holy
west.
Family.
Holy Family.
Holy Family.
That's their campus in the top center of the image.
Yeah.
Do they have a public, bless you. Thank you. Do they have a public road that you could connect to in that part? Does Holy Family have a road
So
that you could connect to as a backup?
University Drive off the bypass.
Is that a public road or is that?
Yes, that's a Newtown Township road.
Okay.
That services that campus.
If you
Yeah,
can get close to the
microphone.
mic,
What-
Mr. Murphy.
So University Drive that services Holy Family, thank you for.
Sorry, it's Campus Drive according to the map.
Campus
And
Drive.
According to the
generic
map.
drug company on the opposite side of
Gotcha.
University. And the small bank.
Is that in any proximity to this?
Any what?
Is there any way to, as we say, where I grew up in Maine, can you get there from here?
No.
Okay. I was there last week, came back to me.
It terminates at the Holy Family parking lot.
I got you. All right. So I guess, not to put words in Supervisor Reese's mouth either, but I think that's what we're trying to wrap our heads around is there any other option, not option, because I'm not saying there's, to change this road, I'm just saying, is there any other way to add another access point so that that doesn't go to Stony Hill, so that all of the pressure of traffic and anything in case of emergency is not in that one point? Can you get to the west, to the south, to the north without having to go through Stony Hill?
not that I know of.
So 2 questions on that point. Are you comfortable not having that emergency access chained on the west side into, it's a walking path with grass pavers.
Right.
Are you comfortable not having it locked and chained, just, an open walking path that,
It's one of those ones where it probably would make sense to have a meeting with Middletown Fire Marshal, with your fire marshal, just to make sure. I'm pretty sure, the thought is emergency access, the concern of just anybody driving back there. And so I would just want to get everybody in a room and make.
I've never in my life seen a walking path and said, I should take my car on that. I'm not that fun. I understand concerns about a single intersection at Stony Hill. I mean, I think if all of Stony Hill Road is closed down, we're in a fairly catastrophic state. And whatever future development happens at that site, if we were to rezone to permit a different type of development, we would address any concerns about secondary egress and access to the interior there. So my concerns there would be alleviated by our own responsibility for that site. Mr. Chair, if there are no questions from yourself, I'd like to make a motion to move things forward.
Well, before we have, I was going to ask a few questions. I'm sensing from the applicant, and I don't want to place words in your mouth, Mr. Murphy, that you're open to a meeting with the fire marshals from both municipalities and the potential of not chaining up that secondary egress. Okay. That's a part of it. And just for discussion, I'm sensitive to sort of the unique scheduling challenge here, and I do appreciate your flexibility on willingness to change design, because we've got a couple of projects running coterminously, so I'm certainly open to that. A few things to make note. First off, thank goodness you didn't offer a 55-plus community in Lower Makefield. We would vote it down. Just to say that, and more than excited that Middletown does not want children. That'll make it easier to beat Neshaminy in football, which I appreciate. This project did receive Planning Commission approval with that current structure. A lot of my questions have been asked, so you were lucky that stepping in as chair. Mr. Coyle, Supervisor Coyle, do you have a motion?
I do. I'd like to move that the board approve the application for land development conditional to the acceptance of an agreement between both parties that preserves all of the parties' offered concessions here tonight, as well as the addition of the condition that the HOA be obligated to include in its covenants, bylaws, et cetera, that they will reimburse Lower Makefield Township should Lower Makefield Township need to perform any services to provide access to the site for the safety and welfare of the citizens. And following the meeting of the applicant and our fire services director and the appropriate official from Middletown Township to have a discussion around the appropriateness of the emergency access and egress to the site into Middletown Township.
Supervisor Coyle, before there's an opening for a second, this would be preliminary conditional approval because we don't have an agreement yet. So we want to make sure that that's clear.
That is correct.
Right, so that whatever agreement would eventually have to come before the board for approval and rework if necessary. Is there a second to that motion? No, it's entirely up to you. I'm willing to second it for discussion purposes. It appears that, is there further board discussion on this?
My concern is this is very dense. It's another over 55. I understand that we want to make Lower Bucks County the over 55 capital of the United States instead of Florida. I'm beginning to get that feeling. I'm just really concerned with, and it's not the roadway at Stony Hill. That's a no-brainer to me. We already have a light there. That's not it. I'm just really concerned about if there's an accident on Stony Hill or whatever on Township, even on Township Line Road, it really, I mean, I drive there a lot. There's a lot of traffic, certain times a day, not all day, but, and I'm just a little, that's my major concern, is that's an awful lot of people over the age of 55 who do have emergencies, as I am well aware of. And it just, I'm nervous about it. It makes me a little uneasy. I think I do want our fire department and our emergency service people to be able to weigh in on this. I'm uncomfortable without that.
Okay.
Similar.
If you want,
Yeah.
I will agree to extend the discussion tonight, and we'll try to meet with the fire representatives in both municipalities, and we'll reschedule tonight. We'll come back and see if we can present something that might allay your concerns.
I was just going to ask you to do the same thing, so I appreciate the offer.
And I do too. I think that would be
Make
a
a good
very
faith effort
healthy.
to try
Yeah,
to
I think
do
it's a
what we
very
can.
healthy way to go forward.
Okay.
So would that require a move to table, or?
Well, or withdrawal of the motion.
Sure, I will withdraw the motion.
Hold a second. Yeah, we'll need a motion. You'll request a continuance.
I'll grant on the record a further continuation of the matter from August 25th to like October 1st to give us
Okay.
a chance to meet with the fire folks and see if we can present something next
Do we have a
month.
meeting October 1st on our calendar?
It's my birthday.
No,
The only thing I thought of.
That would mean that you'd have to,
Celebrate, right?
that would mean you'd have to appear at the second September meeting.
Or the 1st October?
I am open, if we can't get things organized,
So it's a
grant a further extension if we need to.
Appreciate it.
The first October meeting would be October 7th.
7th, yes.
Is what?
The 7th of
7th.
October.
I'll grant the extension tonight till October 15.
And you can have a happy birthday without dealing with us.
I don't want to see you either on my birthday.
I certainly understand.
As always, Mr. Murphy, I appreciate our interchange, but I will say that I'm respectful of the applicant's flexibility on this, and I want members of the community to understand that they've been very flexible as it relates to our planning process, and that this is sort of a unique land use situation, that the majority of the land use is in another municipality, obviously with a lesser high school football team, but this is a rather unique land use process circumstance. So I want to say on behalf of the staff, we are appreciative. We want to work to a reasonable conclusion, and we appreciate your efforts to date.
We appreciate your time, too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Guess you gotta come back.
Moving on to agenda item 10A, engineers report.
Okay. You're it.
Pollution.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. People are too chatty. I gotta pull everybody back into order. Oh, we're good? We're good? Yep. Okay, excellent. Oh, we have a bit of an echo, I think. Hello, hello. We fixed now?
Echo? Oh, lots of echo.
Uh-oh. Somebody turned up the amplifier to 11.
Hello, 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 are you echoing on me? Yeah, we're echoing.
All righty. Do you want to, we're going to move on, and I apologize for the echo in advance. We're going to go on to agenda item 10A, the engineer's report. And if you'd like to take us through the Lower Makefield Township Pollution Reduction Plan Proposal Amendment. Yes. So I think it's been discussed in previous meetings, but just to kind of summarize what we've been doing and what we're going through. So in 2022, as you are aware, the PRP was approved by DEP. We're going through the amendment right now. As part of that amendment, due to updated impervious area data that we received, as well as DEP's ability to aggregate requirements at the HUC 12 watershed level, because right now it's at the sub-watershed level, we're able to kind of to alter that a little bit. We've been able to reduce the amount of projects from 14 to 8 for the primary projects, while still maintaining the 10% TSS reduction. That overall, for the preliminary program, the cost is reduced to approximately $2.6 million versus the original $3.3 to $4.1 million estimate from the original plan. So right now in the process, we've done that, gone through the projects, and as we've talked about before in an engineer's report, there are 3 basins that are under design right now, 60% through. But we're still going through the amendment with DEP, which at this point, it's been advertised, and the last item really is just to receive the public comments and either adjust, respond, et cetera, to those, and then submit to DEP our response, if any, and those all would have been sent directly to Dave if there were any.
Yeah, to date, we've not received any comments on the proposed amendment. The required publication occurred on July the 24th, so we are accepting public comment until August the 24th, which is consistent with the requirement that the department imposes. This was just simply an opportunity to, further talk about this, and also obviously a public means to solicit any feedback from any attendees that had an interest in commenting on the matter. So again, as Corey has noted, at this point, as he indicated, the modeling shows that we will meet our requirement, but in a much more efficient way than initially contemplated, which will in turn reduce our cost of compliance, as Corey had noted. So there's no action that's required by the Board of Supervisors this evening. Again, this is sort of satisfying that public comment opportunity or outlet, and so we wanted to provide that this evening and put this on your agenda. So Corey can answer any other questions, or myself or Derek are also available if the board has any questions on any of the amendment process or any of the proposed projects versus what was initially contemplated.
Before we ask you some questions, Corey, is there any public comment either on the phone or in attendance this evening? No. Okay, so you don't mind, Corey, if I ask a question to start, because I've been curious about this. I hadn't realized the amount of sediment, the volumes, when I was going through the report. I was kind of interested. One of the things that the board has been doing as it relates to stormwater is looking for innovative ways of managing stormwater. One is our proposed sidewalk on Taylorsville Road. And I was interested to see that New York City actually has built a basketball court that acts as a stormwater management basin. And I'm wondering, given the passion for pickleball in the community, if you've seen other municipalities try similar techniques to combine functions, and if so, if there is an opportunity for something like that in our footprint. I'm not saying to next year, but I'm just thinking longer term.
In our current project list, I don't believe there's anything.
No, there's nothing in the current project list that meets the requirements. I went through that, yeah.
Have we seen it? I think we've seen it contemplated to use pervious type of cements and things of that nature for it, but I've never seen anything.
I think what New York is doing, it's more, it's less the way you and I probably think of stormwater management, quality and all that, and it's a little more flood attenuation.
Yep.
Given what it is, it's more storage volume than it is treatment, right? Because it's on paper. But so I've worked on projects like that in Hoboken, which because they have like a 6 to 10 foot, right, where we built it into parks.
Yep.
And I've worked in some in Miami, which is both types. So there may be, if we have an area that's the New York, that type of approach would be a neat one in a very flood-prone area, but from a stormwater management perspective, might not provide that type of benefit. But again, if we have an area that's very flood-prone, usually in Lower Makefield, it's usually not developed, so it's more of an opportunity to plant more trees or something. But if we did have that, that would be a really neat double use, right?
Yeah, and again, maybe not necessarily from a, strictly from a regulatory compliance standpoint, because obviously we're trying to, as Dan's talking about, drive sort of efficiencies in terms of the sediment reductions associated with this. But in terms of the overall stormwater management program or the flood mitigation program, which is sort of outside of the regulatory, there may be opportunities to sort of stack benefits where you have multiple functions with a facility, so.
Fun way to do it.
I'm thinking some of our school, some of Pennsbury schools that are in Lower Makefield, that would be, there's a few of them that can be a little damp on occasion.
And when they come before us, we try and push for some of that stuff. Not always successful, but we do try and push for some.
But when John sent it, I giggled, but I knew it was a really good idea for some areas.
It genuinely works. It's pretty cool.
It does, it works.
Before we let you go, Corey, any other board comments, questions?
Yeah, I have a question related to the construction ongoing at Wright Farm, and that you had monitored some construction at the site. I was approached by a resident who shared some pictures of some significant standing water on the farm property to the west of Wright Farm. My understanding is that that wasn't the case prior to the start of construction, and it has interfered with the ability of the farmer to actively farm that land. So I noticed that you have a note here that there was a problem noted with the temporary outlet structure. Is it possible that that's related? And do you have any comment?
But I don't have necessarily a comment on that to go back to our team, inspection team specifically on it, but something we can look into and follow up in the next meeting if there's anything outstanding. But that would be something that if there are issues with the stormwater, that's something we deal with as a punch list item and take care of before anything's,
Well, the construction, I think, was not contemplated in disrupting neighboring plots of land with stormwater.
So I think another way to look at, so construction stormwater permits, they probably have a PAG 2, right? Which is a DEP permit, the NIPD's permit, which is construction stormwater, and they are supposed to implement BMPs, best management practices, to prevent that from happening, right? So the Bucks County Conservation District should be doing regular inspections as well under that permit, because they're the ones that issue that permit. So they have jurisdiction over that type of stuff. So obviously, yes, our folks can do inspections and say, hey, there's an issue here from a municipal level. From a permit compliance perspective, another course of action would be to ask the Bucks County Conservation District to do an inspection and do just that. And then they can issue an NOV of some type, and that'll be...
Yeah, my understanding is that there was, that identified issue was addressed. So in terms of the impact of addressing that issue, I'm not sure. It may have already been resolved.
Okay, yeah, it was just raised to me over the weekend, so.
Yeah. All
right.
Because there was some correspondence that I think Kyle had sent out last week acknowledging that there was an issue that's noted in the report, and then in turn, not waiting on the issue, but the field personnel or the construction personnel that were out there were addressing the issue. So I think we're hopeful that by addressing that issue, that concern that was expressed is resolved as well, but we can follow up on that.
Yeah, and it may be worth having the Conservation District do an inspection too.
And that was the other thing that HRG did. So Kyle did contact Christian DeSimone at the Conservation District and made him aware of the adjacent neighbor's concern relative to the impact to the existing agricultural fields off property. And he indicated that he was going to go out as well. So that communication with the Conservation District has already occurred.
Do we get copied on all their inspection reports?
We do, yes, yes, yep. So we'll make sure that we follow up on the status of the Conservation District's inspection as well. But I know there was outreach to the Conservation District.
Thank you.
Corey, before we let you go, I always feel like, I don't know if you remember the Saturday Night Live skit, What Up With That, where Lindsey Buckingham is never given the chance to talk. So here's your chance. Is there anything I read your reports, but is there anything that we're missing or things that you think that we should be covering that we haven't?
Look, I think we've covered most of everything. No, nothing. I have just my list of notes, but I think we've hit pretty much everything, and everything else is covered in the report. So
Excellent. Thank you so much, and appreciate you.
yeah,
Thanks.
Have a
Glad
good
I
day.
could
Talk to you all night.
We're going to move on to agenda item 11A, 2027 budget, proposed budget calendar.
Yeah, I'll take this one, Mr.
Where's
Chair.
Mega?
Mega is in a...
She at the concert?
She's in a better place right now. Let's just say that. Not that this isn't an amazing place, but...
Better place doesn't sound that good, just say.
Yeah. I think she's at a concert. Yeah.
No, she's not at a concert.
Oh, okay.
She's on an island somewhere. But,
Oh, well, that's even better, yeah.
So yes, within your packet was just essentially a schedule related to discussions concerning the 27 budget. The first couple dates, again, as outlined on the schedule, are really sort of the internal staff sort of kickoff that has commenced and is ongoing at this point. So that's the majority of the dates. The items that we wanted to discuss with the Board of Supervisors really had to do with the conduct of public workshops. In prior years, we've done public workshops, and again, generally they've been structured on things where there's requests for, it hasn't necessarily been the case, but headcount additions, proposed sort of departmental budgets, and then looking at capital projects. So she has a schedule that she put forth based on the availability of meeting space and some expressed desire to commence the process sooner rather than later. There's a series of dates that are contemplated for public workshops. So that would be September the 9th, September the 23rd, and then October the 7th. That is currently what's contemplated, just based on, again, the availability of this meeting room and providing us with, and you ultimately, with adequate time to review, options. So, go ahead.
When I look at the calendar, that means we would have a supervisor meeting September 2nd, a public workshop September 9th, supervisor meeting the 16th, public workshop the 23rd, supervisor public workshop the 7th, and the which is also a supervisor meeting, and then a supervisor meeting. That's a lot of meetings on a weekly basis. Is there any way? And I know I don't want to step on Supervisor Ross's toes because I know he's adamant about budget scheduling. Is there any way to build in some of these workshop sessions into existing board meetings so that we?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can look at doing that. If that's the desire, that's the desire of the body.
I will also be out of town the 2nd and 9th of September and unable to attend either of those
Okay.
meetings virtually.
Okay.
As well.
I would prefer if we could I don't want to miss the first of the budget workshops.
Okay.
So if we could tie that into the supervisors meeting agenda on the 16th, I think that would be a positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we can
I think
modify.
that's also a win for staff as well, so.
Yeah.
That's a lot of potentially late nights for staff here.
I got a thumbs up. So if it's okay with the board, then we would say move September 9th to the 16th meeting. And then should we make a contingent meeting if we need another follow-up in October, maybe? Just as a placeholder, or?
Like the 11th or something? Oh, that's sorry, November 11th is what I was thinking of.
You want to do the 7th, which again is a regular meeting date?
That's stated as session number 3.
That's a regular meeting, too.
That's a regular meeting, too.
Could we build it into a regular meeting on the 21st as well? Or maybe have a 14th or 28th as a...
I mean, statutorily, we only have to have one meeting every
turn one of
month.
them- exactly.
So we
Yeah.
can
I posed the
try
same thing
and
to Matt.
stack as much into one meeting, and if we have any little cleanups, we can nail them at the start of a budget workshop and get it out of the way.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Now, since the chair is not here and he's responsible for the agendas, some of our conversation is just advisory to him, I think, right?
Yeah. And our October 7th meeting apparently is going to be a long one based upon the discussion that we just had with the deferral of the Fox Lane project.
And
He's gonna
so the
defer
only
to
other,
the 50th.
the only other sort of suggestion for your consideration, and I know it's an additional night, the 30th is a fifth Wednesday, so again, typically there's not typically 5 Wednesdays in a month. So that,
September, right?
September the 30th, yeah.
So meet the 16th, 23rd, and 30th.
I'll be
You're away,
somewhere
okay.
between Zagreb and Dubrovnik.
Okay, well then that,
Yeah. But I
Okay.
would be open to a meeting the 14th of October, if that's available.
What do we, we're starting into the holiday season too. When do we have,
Sorry?
what are the upcoming holidays that, I mean, these are all Wednesdays, but most of the holidays are
Yeah.
Saturdays or Mondays generally, but.
September, Yom Kippur is the 20th and the 21st. After that, the other holidays truthfully are Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, if we can just stack the 7th and the 21st and get half of a budget in on the 7th and a 3/4 of a workshop on the 21st, October. Yeah, not Yom Kippur.
so you're proposing the 16th as the initial, right, which is,
16th of September?
si-
Which is our
what I-
regular meeting
is
anyway.
Which is your regular meeting, right? And then I'm sorry, Colin, you said the
16th and 23rd, right? Are we all okay with the special meeting on the 23rd? And then we fit budget workshops in with the rest of the budget for the 7th and the 21st in October.
during the existing meetings, yep.
If all else, if we absolutely need something to work through, we still have November 11th as an open day before the final.
So you're saying September 23rd and then October?
I think it was September the 16th, which was your regular meeting, right, which would be,
Yeah.
And then October, the 7th and 21st for our regular meetings, so we'll do it during our regular meetings.
Or leave open the option the 14th if necessary.
I think, yeah, and I think we really we'll see how the first and second meeting go and figure out how much time we're going to need on these things. And then really it's going to depend on what the budgets for the supervisor meetings look like anyway, or not budgets, you know what I mean, the agendas.
Right.
We'll see if we can stack things into the consent agenda if it's appropriate.
Sounds like a
okay.
plan.
All right, so again, let me just make sure I'm understanding. So 16th, we talked about, and then modifying what was proposed on the 23rd or keeping the 23rd?
Keep the 23rd.
23rd.
Keep the 23rd, and then utilize the 7th and 21st of your regular meetings, is what I heard. Is that correct?
Yep.
So one additional potential special meeting with the others, discussions occurring during your regularly scheduled meetings. Is that-
And with the flexibility, let's say on the 23rd and the 7th, we say, oh, you know what, we got a lot more to deal with. Potentially, we could look at the 14th of October as another special meeting.
14th of October, okay, all right.
Is that?
Yeah.
I
again,
don't know
sort
that
of
we'll need it.
have the initial meetings, assess where we're at, and then see if there's a need for that. Okay, yep, all right, perfect. Okay, so I'll just review sort of the availability of space again. Most of these are occurring, obviously, during your regular meetings, so that should not be an issue. And I'll confirm back, and then we'll go from there in terms of providing notice to the public relative to the dates. So thank you very much for working through that.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to agenda item 12, the manager's report.
I don't have anything specific this evening, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, with that, I'll move on to agenda item 13, the police department and a co-responders update.
Good evening, Supervisors. First, I'll report on July 2026 service statistics for the Police Department. In July, the Police Department handled 1,168 calls for service. The most common of those were medical aids, community policing, and patrol checks. In July, we issued 394 warnings for traffic violations. We issued 239 citations for traffic violations. We issued 17 criminal citations, investigated 33 motor vehicle accidents, 12 of which were reportable. We also investigated 5 collisions with deer, effected 17 arrests, conducted 197 community engagements, and our co-responder served 16 clients with 16 total encounters. As promised in a previous meeting, we gathered more statistics on the co-responder since her founding in March 25th of 2024. From March 25th until April 1st, when the new administration took over, that 12-month period, she served 56 clients with 167 total encounters. Since April 1st, 2025, she has served 117 clients, over 321 encounters, bringing her total to 173 total clients served with 488 encounters. Taylor had tried to be here tonight, but she had a personal commitment and has committed to come to a future meeting to meet with you and answer any of your questions, but she did leave me with a few anecdotal cases where these numbers really don't tell a story. She wanted us to know some of the things that are going on and some of the impact she has on the residents. In one case, our co-responder worked with a husband and wife in their 60s who were living in several hoarding conditions complicated by their growing health concerns. Rather than simply addressing the immediate concern, she spent time educating the couple, earning their trust, and connecting them with a hoarding specialist. Over the next 9 months, they completely cleaned their home. They proudly shared before and after photographs and talked about the items they were able to donate to others. More than a year later, they still occasionally reach out to our co-responder and express their gratitude. This is definitely a lasting income. In another case, a family was struggling with an adult relative experiencing a mental health crisis. Working alongside Lower Makefield police officers, the co-responder facilitated an involuntary mental health commitment and remained involved while he received extended inpatient treatment. At the same time, she recognized the entire family was being affected. She connected family members with individual therapy and support resources and stayed in contact throughout the process. Months later, when the individual began to decline again, the family contacted her directly rather than waiting for the situation to escalate into a 911 emergency. She was able to guide them through the process, resulting in another successful inpatient intervention. In a third case, a complicated combination of neighborhood disputes with possible mental health concerns and concerns for the welfare of children, co-responders ARCO recognized the circumstances required a child line report and work closely with children and youth. Our police command staff, the courts, and the neighborhood. Through information developed, a collaborative effort became important. Approximately 4 months after the coordinated work, the children were safely and permanently placed with family members while the parents were directed towards needed mental health treatment. And finally, one last case involved a juvenile struggling with behavioral problems and substance abuse. Co-responders ARCO researched treatment options based on the family's insurance helped connect the juvenile and family with counseling, coordinated additional services through the school. The results were remarkable. The juvenile stopped using substances, school attendance improved dramatically, grades rose to all A's, and the family dynamic improved greatly. Perhaps the best measure of success is that the mother did not need to contact our co-responder again throughout the school year. These cases demonstrate why co-responders are valuable. Police officers are trained to respond to crisis, protect people, investigate crime, and restore safety. But many of these situations involve complex social, behavioral, family, and human services needs that grow well beyond the immediate police response. I wanted to illustrate that a little bit to give you some of the context in which the co-responder operates. And before I finish up, I just wanted to touch on two quick issues the police department's dealing with recently. Our Cody Pathfinder record management transition, which you may recall was funded completely by a grant through PCCD, has been fully implemented through the work of both Lieutenant Omler and Officer Hamsky. It went early this month. It went online. We are working through some minor issues, but the transition has gone extremely well, and we will now be reporting to the FBI NIBRS in NIBRS format, which is the required standard reporting. The other issue I proudly report is that beginning this month and running through the end of November, I believe it's September 17th we start, the Citizens Police Academy first class will have 12 Lower Makefield residents go through a 8 to 10 week program in which they come into our doors once a week and learn a lot about what happens in policing behind the scenes. And we're pretty proud of that, and that starts on September 19th, and I'll keep you apprised as that moves on. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Kelly. Supervisor Grant, you have a question?
Chief, thank you for all of that and all the requests from last meetings. On the co-responder program specifically, can you just let people know how, so Taylor Zarko, who's our co-responder, she's actually a Bucks County Human Services employee, right?
That's correct. She's a Human Services employee.
So it's a program that Bucks County initially developed, we took advantage of, and even more so this past year or so, and has been a great resource. How long will she be working with us? And
She is currently grant funded. I'm not sure when that grant runs out. I think David may know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I believe we have not received anything from the county in terms of official notice, but I think in terms of the primary period of commitment, I believe 26 is the concluding period of the initial sort of commitment that the county has made to us. That being said, they have not indicated that, that they're going to be invoicing or charging in 2027 at this point.
now, how is the grant, is that a county grant or is the county a federal funding? How did that work?
So I think it's a combination of things. I do think they did receive federal funding, I think through the Congressman's office to support the program in some fashion that allowed them to extend their initial period of commitment, I think, that was initially contemplated. The other sort of permissible use is opioid settlement funds as well. We are in having conversations with them about our allocation and the potential, the potential partnership around those settlement funds, which would then in turn essentially allow us to continue participation at no direct cost to us. So those conversations are ongoing, but during the course of those conversations, they did indicate that they are at the conclusion of the initial commitment period, but they have not provided any official notice at this point to the municipalities. And you have not received anything at this point?
No, we have not received any notice.
Yeah, so during the course of that conversation, obviously we said, when they said 27, I think the immediate reaction was, well, have you started the engagement with the municipalities that have come to, find value in this, just whether it's continuation through self-funding, whether it's trying to find other means of funding, whatever it may be. And they said yes, but I don't know that we've received any direct communication at this point. Correct, yeah.
But obviously, it's a very successful program, one we'd like to keep going, I think. and the commissioner should be commended for setting this up for the municipalities. Hopefully, we can keep it going, and please thank Taylor for her work.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Great stuff. It'd be great to have her here sometime too, so we can thank her personally as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I would concur on that. I think one of the challenges that, when we think about in policing now is what mix of the type of crises they enter and the skill set they need. And so the co-responder program's, I think, a huge, huge help. And I'm excited that I think that the police force has really embraced using that in the right way. And I think the hard question is, and this is maybe one for a longer discussion, which is, are we experiencing an increase in overall mental health issues, which I think is possible, or are we getting better at acknowledging it, diagnosing it, and dealing with it more rapidly? And that's certainly up for more research, but I'm a huge fan of what's been going on with that. And I think all of us are, and we want to make sure that continues. And so we thank you, thank all of the officers. We do appreciate the work and the significant work in the last year to really make this work better. So
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Chief, I don't know, I mean, again, a lot of, not to prolong this conversation, but a lot of credit goes to the chief and sort of the leadership team within the department. I know there were a number of changes in terms of your own internal practice and policy. I don't know if you want to highlight any of those in terms of officers' access to the co-responder, I think, has been greatly expanded. Is that
One of
correct?
the immediate things we did along those lines were we got the co-responder in to have lunch with each and every squad, figuring that the sooner we could get them comfortable in each other's worlds, the more trust they would build internally, and then they can go out there and build trust externally together. And I think, speaking for the command staff, I think that had great results. We also try to, we cut down the bureaucracy that it took to have something assigned to the co-responder. Formerly, the officer would request it through a supervisor, the supervisor would put it through command, commander would put it through our administration, and then sometime thereafter, the co-responder would get involved in a situation, often too late. Now the police officer goes directly to the co-responder without any type of interference with supervision and command in slowing down that process. So usually the next day, she's on top of these things when you really need to be. So some of these changes, I think, did help with the expansion of her services.
I want to thank you because I know when police officers, especially domestic, you want to be there to calm the waters, but often you get the opposite response, sometimes from both parties. And I think we ask our police officers to become psychologists, and that is not part of their training and probably should not be. So I really do appreciate that our officers are working with someone who that is their specialty. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not letting you go yet.
I didn't think so.
First, really, the fit is fantastic tonight. I love it.
Yeah, that's on TV, too.
Golden navy, mustard, and midnight, whatever it is working, Chief.
It's one of his favorite colors, so that's, yeah.
I wanted, Mustard and Midnight was the name of my debut album, by the way. No, so before I let you go, I really just want to take a moment. Like after a meeting here in the township a couple weeks ago, I heard the Explorers were downstairs, and I just popped in to see them, and I thought I'd see like 2 people down there. You had a room packed full of teenagers who are interested in serving their community and being a part of of building community, and that's amazing. The Citizens Police Academy that you're launching, the fact that you are drawing interest and drawing people to come and be a part of this township, to work with your department together, and the success of this co-responder program, I cannot applaud enough you, your command staff, and every single person who wears the badge in this town for building that kind of an environment. You should all be very proud, and I thank you.
Thank you, sir, and I'll pass that along to the officers. They're the ones doing the hard work every day. I'm the one who gets to stand up here and get the credit for it once a month.
Thank you.
Good evening.
We got to schedule a controversial pickleball thing when Taylor does come in to make sure that people get to hear about this.
Calm everybody down a little bit.
So we'll move on to agenda item 15A, the solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have three things on my report. The first is the consideration and the approval of an ordinance amending the Lower Makefield Township zoning ordinance, providing for language that other lawful uses not explicitly provided for shall be permitted by conditional use in our C2 Commercial Highway Services District. This has been properly noticed and advertised and is ready for your vote.
So moved.
Approval.
Second?
Quick question. This one is all lawful land uses
Not otherwise permitted.
not otherwise permitted would be included in the C2. We have this language also already in existence within the C.
3, that is correct, yeah, yes.
Correct. This mimics our C3 language.
And as we discussed before, this is a common thing because not every land use can be contemplated before it.
It's to anticipate those that are not otherwise thought of today.
Understood.
Before I call the question, is there any public comment? Any callers on the line? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. Agenda item 15B.
Thank you. Our second item is the consideration for your approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 173, which is our stormwater management ordinance, or portion of the ordinance, to amend Chapter 173, Attachment A, Appendix A, which is the O&M agreement, or the operation and maintenance agreement. So the sole purpose of this is to include a new O&M agreement as part of your ordinance.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, before I call the question, any public comment? With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect that motion passed 4-0. Agenda item 15C.
Thank you, and I should have mentioned the fact that that was properly advertised and noticed. Thank you. Third is ratification of the order from the Bucks County Court of Common Pleas regarding 600 Township Line Road. As you know, this was an appeal, a zoning hearing board matter that came before your zoning hearing board, to which we, the township, authorized me to participate and oppose. Zoning hearing board approved the application. We appealed that decision. This is a result of that appeal that was filed. It was an order. This order is from the Court of Common Pleas. Judge Jordan Yeager has signed it. It is a ratification of the order that was signed, just to get on the record your approval of the same.
Is there a motion?
Suppose we have to. So I will move to ratify the order from the Bucks County Court of Common Pleas regarding 600 Township Line Road.
I'll second.
Okay. Before I call the question, is there any comment?
So what does that order state? 'Cause I know there was some concerns about that.
Yeah, the order states that our appeal has been dismissed, so our appeal is no longer existing. The mandamus action that the appellant, or BTC, filed is likewise dismissed. It should be noted that there was an intervener in the case, which is Dance Arts of Yardley. Their appeal was not dismissed by this order. Their appeal did proceed. And in fact, they did have oral arguments on it a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I can tell you it was on, I should know that date because I did attend. It was on or about, pardon, I just want to get the dates right. It was the end of July. Order was entered on that appeal on the 6th of August.
Yeah, the other thing that should be of note is that in addition to the mandamus action, there also was a federal claim that was made.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that. Yeah, and most importantly, there was a FHA filing by the appellant defendant or appellee, defendant, however you want to characterize it, BTC, which was likewise dismissed. That has been dismissed. The correct paperwork has been filed with the federal courts to remove that case. It's been withdrawn.
The end result of this would then basically the developer slash applicant, I'll call him, is basically, there's no change to the zoning hearing board's ruling, correct?
The zoning hearing board matter does stand, so yes.
So the use, the parking issues, all the safety issues that were brought up by residents are not, it's basically going by the zoning hearing board's decision and none of the other requests or demands, I guess, that some residents were putting in there.
You could put it that way, but recall that the zoning hearing board decision did specifically state that there is reserved parking that is contemplated in it, and it's at your discretion, meaning the Board of Supervisors' discretion, and there will be cooperation with our police department as far as people leaving the property. So yes, the zoning hearing board decision does stay in place.
Okay. Now, some of the things that were argued at the zoning hearing board was that this use was not allowed in the township. We just heard that similar to what we were doing in C2 tonight, or what we just did in C2 tonight, we already had existing in C3. We also, in the OR district, have a hospital use that there's a 10-acre minimum requirement that includes rehabilitation facilities. Quite honestly, I think our zoning officer missed that. And that was, the zoning officer's statements or guidance was provided in the most recent document that was provided from the court, which is unfortunate. So I think they just missed it. Is there any way to, from a procedural perspective, if we didn't ratify the order, is there a way to, what happens if we don't, I guess I'll ask a somewhat simple question, but maybe it's not, if we didn't ratify the order.
Okay, I don't think the answer is simple. I don't have a simple answer for you. We represented to the court that this was the agreement that I had, Kurt and Heemter had the authority of the township to move forward and to agree to this. So it was, the order was entered into with that agreement. Quite honestly, I don't know what the repercussions or what would happen if this was not ratified.
So essentially, you had guidance from the majority of the board that you could move forward?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there public comment? Please state your name and your location.
Sure, probably not, because I think I have the answer. Just want to make sure that.
Your name and whether.
Frank Falco, 39 Shady Brook Drive, Langhorne. So for all intents and purposes, BTC Holdings, LLC, can move forward.
Pursuant to the zoning hearing board decision, correct?
Okay, that's
Yes.
all I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor of ratifying the order from Bucks County Court of Common Pleas signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Let the record reflect that the motion passed 3-1 with Supervisor Grenier in the negative.
Executive session. Announcement
Yeah, I was
during
going to do
executive
that.
session.
Thank you. Yeah, you have to give your executive session disclosure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, this was discussed in executive session.
And that we met in executive
And
session.
we did, right. And we did meet and I think I've announced that previously.
I don't believe you did this evening.
I don't think you did.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
Because I have a
Thank
comment
you, thank you.
on
I
the
do.
matter.
Thank you very much. I am so tied up in this,
Yeah.
thinking that we met in executive session to discuss
usually the
this.
first thing you say.
We did, yes. Let me start this over. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this board did meet in executive session immediately prior to this Board of Supervisors meeting to discuss employment issues, real estate matters, and litigation issues.
And one point discussed in the meeting was spelling and how I came in second place in the third grade spelling bee for one James Gannon, who ended up as the Pennsbury 1999 valedictorian. I mention this apropos of nothing.
And I have to admit that I think it was because I mentioned spell check.
The word was balloon.
I remember.
Balloon.
Balloon.
Thank you, and the minutes will reflect that.
Oh. Hopefully, Mr. Gannon has gone on to better things.
We could ask his mother, who is in the audience today.
Oh, okay. We'll move on to discussion, agenda item 16, discussion items. We don't have any discussion items at this time. Moving on to supervisors report, Chair Ross is unable to join us as mentioned previously. I have a limited report, and the Citizens Traffic Commission met this week and has made a motion that we'll get to the township manager related to visibility on Delaware Rim and Woodside Road for the Director of Operations and Public Works to review. And that is the complete report. Supervisor Coyle.
The hard work of our various committees continues forward. The Patterson Farm Master Plan Implementation Committee's big news is related to and the Historic Relations Commission this week is related to the Thomas Janney Historic Site hearing coming up in September. Please note that from the opening announcements. Otherwise, thank you to all the dedicated members of the township committees for their volunteerism.
Supervisor Reese.
I think we've heard from Parks and Rec because the discussion was about pickleball and the pool. Golf committee, the course is in terrific shape. Of course, we mourn the loss that they've had. Mercer Airport did not meet. Seniors, as we saw, they are quite active, and they had nothing to report.
Supervisor Grenier.
Sure. There will be an emergency management meeting sometime September, October. We'll let that be known once it's scheduled. Zoning hearing board meeting last time was canceled. And then the SR 332 Stony
John.
Road and Village Integrated Plan Committee.
You're getting
I didn't have my microphone on. I'm sorry. You didn't miss much. Zoning hearing board meeting last night was canceled. Emergency management will have a meeting next month, I believe. I'll let everyone know on that date. The Stony Hill Road 332 Edgewood Village Integrated Master Plan Committee had two really good public workshops on July 29th and 30th, attended by several residents over several hours. Gave some really great ideas and input to the overall plan. We talked about it a little bit tonight as part of the, when we mentioned the one road development that was coming in. But I think there's really a nice vision coming together across the board, going all the way from the bypass through to Edgewood Village and the surrounding area. I think our residents have really put in some good thought there. And I think it'll be very important as we move forward and other areas of the township coming up for development that we integrate some of those ideas. A lot of historic preservation ideas, a lot of walkability being emphasized, safety, and just really community-focused items. Some of the local developers also attended. It was good that they heard that same feedback. Hopefully they will take it into consideration as they start to develop plans that come before us as a board and come before other boards and committees. Still more to come on that, but I thought those two events were very well done. I think everyone sitting on this dais, minus our solicitor, were attended at some point at least, so we all got to participate, and I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, and they're, just as a update on that, they're in the process of sort of consolidating, obviously, the feedback that we had received from the community. We should be circling back with the committee to schedule a follow-up meeting here in the relatively near future.
Excellent.
So,
thank you. And that concludes my report.
Supervisor Grenier, one question. The zoning hearing board, what's the next meeting of the zoning hearing board?
Next meeting is September. Let me pull it up for you. It's the September 1st, and then the 15th right now. However, we have to make sure we have agenda items for both. And I haven't seen an agenda. Right now, it's blank on my calendar, so I don't see any agenda items just
I
yet.
know there's one contentious appeal going before the zoning hearing
Yes.
board, and that hasn't been rescheduled to an official date yet?
I do not have it unless.
It has been?
Is it the 15th?
Yes.
November 15th?
There is at least three things on the zoning hearing board agenda for September 1st.
Those- The specific item you're talking about is the car wash was continued, I believe, until September, but it's not on the September 1st meeting. The September 1st meeting are more typical impervious area type of items, correct?
Correct. So September 1st are at least three applications that concern impervious surface. September 15th is the car wash.
It is gonna be the
That has been continued numerous times. We had a discussion with the attorney for the flagship car wash this morning, and they are planning to move ahead on the 15th of September with their application.
So, and you often do a better job of this than me, but just a reminder that if you have an issue with any of these items, if you come to the Board of Supervisors meeting, which is usually the day after the zoning hearing board meetings, it's probably too late to get the zoning hearing board to listen to your concerns.
Right.
So it's because we are separate entities, they are quasi-judicial and do work independently of us. We can provide our input as a board through our solicitor, not through me as the liaison, as I've been told many times now. So it's very important that if you have any concerns with any of these items and you want the zoning hearing board to hear your concerns and understand your concerns, that you attend those meetings, provide your comment. If you want standing, you can ask for standing, but you don't have to. And they do listen. If you pack the room, they tend to listen to your concerns and give it good thought. So if any of those items are of concern, please do attend. What did I miss?
You got it all.
You've coached me up. Thank you.
And I'd just like to clarify, for September 1st, there are three items as mentioned. Two are impervious surface. One is just rear building setback variance request.
All right, we don't have any other business unless anybody else has other business. And hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 19. That would be appointments, reappointments to boards and commissions.
I have a number of appointments to make.
You can make them en masse if you'd like.
Yep. So our wonderful friends at the Human Relations Committee have completed one of their statutory pieces of work, which is to establish terms for their members. So I would like to nominate, sorry, I've got a couple things here. This first one's going to seem weird because it's a September 2026 term ending.
Can you clarify that? So are they trying to establish terms outside of our
They were not given term ending dates. They were asked for each of them to determine term ending dates.
That doesn't make.
Their appointments do not have term endings.
They don't.
That wasn't in the resolution?
The resolution sets 3-year terms, and they were asked to create a schedule of staggering the terms, so they don't all expire in a month.
So shouldn't we do that through resolution rather than having
We're just appointing them to terms.
But our resolution determines the terms.
Correct.
So like other boards and committees, we stagger.
Right.
So we should.
We are setting the staggering within the scope of the terms.
They're not exceeding the terms that are set forth in our ordinance.
Right.
They are now staggering the terms, so no one's going beyond the 3 years.
I think you have to turn on your mic, sorry.
Yes. No one is going beyond the 3 years that is otherwise permitted.
I understand what you're doing.
We are establishing their stagger.
But it sounds to me like we probably have something to revise in the resolution for future terms to make sure that they remain staggered.
We will certainly take a look at it. If we need to, we can
Other resolutions
amend.
similarly have.
Sure. So, I would like.
Yeah, I mean,
We're good. Okay.
I mean, ultimately, it's at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors in terms of the establishment of terms. These are the recommendations that are coming.
These are the recommendations from the HRC. They were discussed, and they're all within the 3 years. So this is all cromulent,
And these
right?
are existing.
These are existing members with the.
HRC has previously.
These are existing members with the addition of. right? So we have been recommended that Pam Kravitz be appointed to fill the seat of Kathy Hanville, who resigned her position previously. So we would appoint Pam Kravitz to a term to expire, to Kathy Hanville's term to expire September 2026.
Currently an alternate or on the committee?
She is not.
Have we interviewed her?
She's on the HRC.
Pam Kravitz.
She's on the Citizens Traffic Commission.
Sorry, the Citizens Traffic, it's late, I'm tired.
Now on.
She's currently serving on Citizens Traffic.
Yeah.
That Tara Friedman's term be appointed to terminate September 2026. Amanda Soloway and Stanley Chaikin's terms be appointed to expire in September of 2027. And that Byron Feynman and Paul, sorry, my handwriting is terrible at this late hour, Bombarak be appointed to terms terminating in September of 2028.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to hit you.
I'm going to be opposed, not because I don't want any of these people on here. It's just that I think I want to make sure everything's copacetic.
Okay.
That's all. I think this
Thank you.
this process is not the way we should be doing it.
Further, I would like to move that we reappoint Masood Sayal Bilal as an alternate to the Zoning Hearing Board, and that we appoint Tony Zamparelli to be an alternate on the Zoning Hearing Board as well.
Do you mind breaking those up into two separate ones?
Sure. I will revise my motion to reappoint Masood Sayal Bilal as an alternate to the Zoning Hearing Board.
Second?
All those in favor, signify
Aye.
by saying
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I'd like to move that we appoint Tony Zamparelli to serve as an alternate on the Zoning Hearing Board.
Second.
All those in favor,
Look,
signify by...
I have a comment on that, please.
Okay, sure.
So I want to, there's something about this particular one that has been bugging me, in that the zoning hearing board solicitor has been actively advocating for the appointment of Mr. Zamparelli to the board. Note that I would think that the solicitor should be advised that advocating for members that will also vote on retaining him as a solicitor is a conflict of interest, and he should refrain from advocating for specific members or potential members to be.
I passed that on to him when you mentioned it a few weeks ago.
Well, I know, I think.
Very strongly.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but it's very troubling to me when a solicitor is advocating either for individual members or potentially specific projects that they have an interest in. I think we have to be very forceful in how we address that, and I don't have much tolerance for that. So I have nothing against Mr. Zamparelli directly, but I can't vote in favor of this particular appointment because of that.
All right, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay.
Thank you for splitting them. Appreciate it.
At this time, we'll move on to Agenda Item 20, additional public comment on non-agenda items. For those interested in that third grade spelling bee, if you want to bring up the truth around that, whether, hearing no additional public comment and no callers on the line, at this time, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Bless you.
Have a good night.